A warm good morning to all. I, Nisarga, would like to begin today's event by welcoming everyone on the behalf of CMTI for the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav under the Ministry of Heavy Industries, which facilitates hosting several events under various themes to mark the 75 glorious years of progressive India. As a part of this celebration, today we are delighted to host Business Meet on advanced machines and process technologies. On the account of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Dr. Mahendranath Pandey, Honorable Minister of Heavy Industries, and Shri Krishnapal Gurjar, Minister of State, Heavy Industries, have given a message. The description of the message is as follows. आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव प्रगतिशील भारत के 75 वर्ष का उत्सव मनाने और जनता, संस्कृति तथा देश की उपलब्धियों के गौरवशाली इतिहास को स्मरण करने की भारत सरकार की एक पहल है। इसी पहल के तहत भारी उद्योग मंत्रालय 10 से 16 जनवरी तक आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है। भारी उद्योग मंत्रालय ऑटोमोटिव और कैपिटल गुड्स क्षेत्र सहित विश्व स्तर पर प्रतिस्पर्धी हरित और तकनीक आधारित विनिर्माण क्षेत्र के विकास पर ध्यान केंद्रित कर रहा है, जिससे विकास और रोजगार सृजन को बढ़ावा मिलता है। इस विजन को साकार करने के लिए मंत्रालय ने भारत में इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों का तीव्र अंगीकरण और विनिर्माण फेम स्कीम, राष्ट्रीय उन्नत केमिस्ट्री सेल्स ACC बैटरी भंडारण कार्यक्रम, ऑटोमोबाइल और ऑटो घटक के लिए उत्पादन संबंधी प्रोत्साहन PLI स्कीम, भारत कैपिटल गुड्स क्षेत्र में प्रतिस्पर्धी संवर्धन स्कीम आदि सहित कई पहले शुरू की है। भारी उद्योग मंत्रालय ने अपने CPSE और स्वायत्त निकायों सहयोग से आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव के समारोहों के लिए नवाचार, निर्माण, उत्कृष्टता, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, पर्यावरण और वहनीयता, स्वच्छ भारत, स्वस्थ भारत, स्वतंत्रता संग्राम आदि विषयों पर ध्यान केंद्रित करते हुए 10 से 16 जनवरी 2022 के सप्ताह के दौरान देश भर में 40 से अधिक स्थानों पर एक्शन 75, अचीवमेंट 75, आइडिया 75 और रिजॉल्व 75 जैसे विषयों को केंद्र में रखते हुए कार्यक्रमों और क्रियाकलापों की श्रृंखला योजना बनाई है। इन कार्यक्रमों में लोकार्पण, नए उत्पादों की शुरुआत, प्रौद्योगिक प्रदर्शनियों, तकनीकी प्रदर्शनियों, सेमिनार, वेबिनार, विशेषज्ञ व्याख्यान, योग और ध्यान सत्र, स्वास्थ्य शिविर, भूले हुए स्वतंत्रता सेनानी नायकों का याद करना, स्वतंत्रता संग्राम और आंदोलनों को आदि पर बच्चों के बीच सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमों, स्वच्छता अभियानों और प्रगति अदायों का आयोजन करना इत्यादि शामिल है। यह सुनिश्चित करने पर जोर दिया गया है कि सप्ताह भर चलने वालों इन समारोहों का आयोजन होल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच से किया जाए और सभी कार्यक्रमों में जन भागीदारी है। कार्यक्रमों के दौरान कोविड-19 के अनुरूप परस्पर सुरक्षित दूरी बनाए रखने और स्वच्छता प्रोटोकॉल सुनिश्चित करने के निर्देश भी जारी किया गया है। हमारा अनुरोध है कि आप सब आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव तहत दिनांक 10 से 16 जनवरी 2022 तक भारी उद्योग मंत्रालय के इस आयोजन में अपनी सहभागिता अवश्य करें। I request Shri Krishna Rathod, Center Head, Center for Project Planning and Business Development, CMTI, to welcome the guests who are present offline and also who are live connected as a part of this hybrid event.
Good morning to all, and I wish you and your family members a happy and prosperous new year. Thank you for giving very much to Ministry of Heavy Industries for giving opportunity to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in CMTI. Also, thank you each and everyone being here with us today. On behalf of CMTI, warm welcome to our eminent chief guest, Dr. R.K. Tyagi sir, Honorable Mentor Director, Defense Innovators and Industry Association, and former Chairman, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. He is also CMTI Governing Council member and Chairman, Business Advisory Group. We are grateful to him for accepting our invitation and becoming a chief guest of today's event. On behalf of CMTI, warm welcome to today's all eminent speakers on various topics. We are grateful to all speakers for accepting our invitation of today's event. Sri Amitabh Srivastav, Managing Partner, July Ventures LLP. Sri Shivshankar Naik, Joint Director, Department of Technical Education, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Dibendu Chaudhary from NI MSME. Srimati Pallavi Saha, Senior Deputy Director, EEPC. Sri N.G. Lakshmi Narayan, Chief Business Development Officer, NRDC. Sri Gokul N.A., Sinlar Cybernetic Laboratory. Sri Vinay Krishna, Tech Source Solution. Sri Sundar Settigar, Nandi Agrovet. Srimati Chikkapur V. Shobha, Sri Herbal, Bengaluru. On behalf of CMTI, warm welcome to all those who joined the business meet virtually on advanced machine and process technologies. Also, welcome to CMTI Director, Joint Director, all center heads, group heads, and my colleagues. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you for your brief introduction about our guests and welcoming them, sir. I now request our beloved Director, CMTI, Dr. Naga Hanumaya, to address the event.
Good morning, Chief Guest and our mentor, Dr. Tyagi sir, and all the speakers, participants who joined in a virtual mode, and my dear colleagues. As is already announced, the Ministry of Heavy Industry is celebrating a week-long program, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, starting from 10th January to 16th January. It is 4th day at CMTI, so we have arranged several events. The first day we had an event which primarily focused on technology demonstrated in the country up to TR level 4 or 5. There were about 18 speakers across India. They shared their thoughts. The whole purpose is to identify the low-hanging fruits to realize the Atmanirbhar, at least in the area of our working area of like machine tools and process technology. The second day we had a CMTI and MSME meet where our Additional Secretary Nidhi Chibbar was the chief guest, there where we discussed the schemes which are available under both Ministry of Heavy Industry as well as there was a director from Ministry of Commerce and Industries, State Government of Karnataka. He briefed about a scheme that is Karnataka Industry Policy 2025. And there were few industry representatives, association presidents. They shared their thoughts and also the challenges they face, including the president from Women Enterprises Association. Yesterday, it was a special day because it is a National Youth Day. And at the same time, our third day event, we primarily deliberated on the important aspect that is HR development on manufacturing. We had eminent speakers from both academia, industry, and R&D establishments. There was a good participation. All the days we had 120 plus participation. And today is a CMTI day. So we basically wanted to discuss and share and brief about the technologies which are developed at CMTI. As you all know, CMTI is a national R&D institute under Ministry of Heavy Industry, established in 1962. Since inception, machines and process technology development, which is new to India, is our strong forte. Since our 60 years, CMT has developed about 500 plus solutions which are implemented in the industry. As of now, we have 54 technologies which are ready for commercialization. And all these 54 technologies are new to India. Still, they are not made in commercial scale. And we all know technology development is a systematic process. No matter what resource we have or what facility or the expertise level we have, it is an S-curve. The attributes or the facility resources could alter is can change the angle of yes, that inclination angle. Otherwise, this is a systematic process. It essentially has 4 steps. One is a research phase, then technology development phase, training phase, then application phase. We CMTI try to cover the last 3. We not do much on basic research below TRL level 3. And for those below TRL 3 research, basic research, we closely work with the leading research establishments and academia, both in India and abroad. Here, when we develop these technologies, CMTI, it is not that CMTI developed the technology just by integrating the systems which are otherwise available and assembled and demonstrate. No, all our machines are designed from first principles. And we also ensure that tomorrow, if you are licensing a CMTI technology, you won't face any problem as far as the supply chain and the subsystems, because most of the technology which we developed has at least 70% Indian content, domestic content. And all the key subsystems, or we call it as an aggregates, are being developed, and it is going to be given to the industry partners as a technology transfer package. Yes, in India is always, we all believed that acquisition rather than technology development. I think this is the right time. Make in India and Atmanirbhar has pushed all researchers and also enhanced the confidence level of researchers like us. The technology, if we develop, if it is useful to an industry, there is a platform which could be used and deployed. That means we get an opportunity to look at our babies delivering and contributing to the society. Here in CMTI, we also look at the standardization, standard practices being practiced elsewhere or being customized to the local industries. Our approach is, I call it as a DISC approach. We are focused on converting data to design, then innovation to incubation, scalability to sustainability, and we believe in cooperation and collaboration. So with this, I request our industrial partners, don't have any second thought. On behalf of my colleagues, I promise you the technology which you license from CMTI is as par with global. The machine which you buy technology, we will give you 3 years comprehensive warranty. I'm sure globally nobody gives. Standard warranty is 12 months from the date of installation, 15 months from date of shipment. We will give you 3 years warranty and benchmark with the global standard. If you convince, then only you buy the technology. And we will also handle, because there are many cases has happened that technology, new technology, realizing those technologies definitely requires a lot of investment, manufacturing resources, and also investment on the HR. So in that case, CMTI model is CMTI will handle you till you commercialize your first product. That is, first product comes out of our technology. I think we have about 7 various models, business models, so which we can discuss with you. And we look forward that this 54 technology what we have today and tomorrow what we are developing, the future technologies being used for the benefit of the manufacturing sector. Thank you all for joining this event.
Thank you, sir, for briefing the events of this whole week celebrations and the ideas of today's business meet. CMTI has developed various technologies with its manufacturing expertise in different areas such as Center for Machine Tools and Special Purpose Equipments, Smart Manufacturing, Precision Machine Tools and Aggregates, micro nano manufacturing and metrology, additive and special manufacturing process, sensor vision technology and controls. We have a video which has a few glimpses of the technology profile. I request Dr. R.K. Tyagi sir, Honorable Mentor Director, Defense Innovators and Industry Association, Governing Council, Business Advisory Group Chairman of CMTI, to launch the technology profile video of CMTI.
I hereby launch the technology profile video prepared by CMTI. I request you to please go ahead with.
CMTI, Central Manufacturing Technology Institute, is an autonomous R&D institute under the Ministry of Heavy Industry. CMTI is primarily focused on developing science and technology-driven solutions. With decades of diligent technology development, CMTI built a comprehensive foundation and evolved as a center of excellence in the field of manufacturing, special-purpose machines, nanotechnology, ultra-precision engineering, smart manufacturing, and technology for sensors. CMTI has rechristened itself into Central Manufacturing Technology Institute in the early 90s to embrace innovation and evolution, to promote and accelerate technology development and create sustainable environment for future.
I take this an opportunity to present you one of the technologies developed machine. It's a special purpose CNC machine for face grinding the flanks of keystone piston rings with trapezoidal cross section and used in automobile engines. The main features of the GKPR are the piston ring to be ground is clamped in an electromagnetic chuck and centered on a tapered ring which provides the necessary radial preload. The workhead is mounted on the in-feed slide and fed into the grinding wheel for material removal.
I would like to introduce about the technology for additive manufacturing of steel on aluminum bronze and bronze on steel bimetallic parts. Bimetallic structures find interesting applications in engineering as the combination of different materials can offer unique advantages over single material components. Relative motion between similar materials generally causes high friction leading to heavy damage and tearing. Use of dissimilar materials can help to overcome this problem. Applications such as axial piston pumps in aircrafts employ dissimilar materials such as steel and bronze. The quality of the joint between dissimilar materials plays a vital role in ensuring functional reliability. However, development of bimetallic structures is a challenging task as the mismatch of thermometallurgical and chemical properties of the dissimilar materials can lead to formation of significant residual stresses, brittle intermetallic compounds, and cracks. These problems are more prominent when conventional fusion welding methods are used. In this technology development, we have applied additive manufacturing technique for developing bimetallic structures using laser which help to achieve controlled heat affected zone, faster solidification rate, lesser residual stresses, and reduced deformation. Through this developed technology, we can manufacture both steel on aluminum bronze and bronze on steel bimetallic parts with good metallurgical bonding, controlled heat affected zone, and dilution without any cracks, porosity, and thermal distortion. Thank you.
Dear friends, I am Tom Thampi and I would like to introduce the pressure endurance test rig or pressure impulse test rig developed by CMTI. The objective of the test rig is to check the structural integrity of the hydraulic or pneumatic elements. During pressure impulse or pressure pulsation test, the pressure waves will be imposed on test unit in a short period of time and creates a fatigue to the test unit. This will help in proving the design or redesigning of the existing components by identifying any potential flows like unforeseen stress concentration and weakest linkage.
CMTI had developed diamond-like carbon films indigenously for various applications. Diamond-like carbon is synthesized in a particular machine called plasma-enhanced chemical vapor deposition. This is a kind of vacuum system that are provided hydrocarbon-based gases as synthesis input. Once let into the chamber, the hydrocarbon gas undergoes several chemical changes and finally starts depositing diamond-like carbon due to the presence of plasma.
CMTI is working in the field of ultra-precision engineering for development of precision machine tools and aggregates in the past 3 decades. The continuous research and development efforts in the field of ultra-precision engineering has led to the indigenous development of ultra-precision diamond turning machine. We call it the NanoShape T250. This is the third generation DTM machine of CMTI in par with the world-class machines. The machine accuracies are in the order of 0.3 micron for straightness and positional accuracy down to 0.6 micron. It is state-of-the-art next-generation machine developed with excellent static, dynamic and thermal behaviors. The machine is equipped with aerostatic bearing spindle, hydrostatic bearing slide, open architecture motion controller, pneumatic vibration isolation system, non-contact motion drive elements with temperature control down to 0.1 degrees centigrade to achieve long-term dimensional stability of the machine elements.
Precision machine tools are becoming more and more important in manufacturing sector. Improving the machining accuracy is a key to achieve precision as well as higher quality products. There are various factors affects the machining accuracy in CNC machine tools such as geometric errors, thermal induced errors, deflections caused by cutting forces and other error sources such as servo errors of machine axis. Among all these factors, thermal induced errors has a significant effect on machining accuracy, accounting to 60 to 70% of the total error. To brief on this technology, we do thermal drift mapping of machine tool for various conditions using temperature and displacement sensors. Based on this, we develop a model with our own data processing methods and artificial intelligence based algorithm to compute thermal errors and compensate for the same in real time. These compensation modules can be easily pluggable to any machine tool and to any make of CNC controller like Siemens, Fanuc, Loom, Flexium, and this technology can be adopted to any machine tools such as grinding machines, machining center, turning machines, and makes a normal machine tool to a precision one.
Good.
That was a glimpses of few technologies which were developed out of 54 technologies. That was a few glimpses of technologies which were developed. And I request Dr. R.K. Tyagi sir to address the event.
Thank you very much, निसर्गा जी. और जिस तरह से आपने हिंदी में डॉक्टर महेंद्रनाथ पांडे और कृष्णपाल गुर्जर जी का मैसेज पढ़ा, वो वाकई में ही तारीफ के काबिल है. माय कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Naganumaya, our dynamic of CMTI, members of Governing Council, Business Advisory Group, Mr. Naik, and all other leaders from the industry, government setups and other institutes. And also Shri Krishna Rathorji, B.R. Mohanraj, Srimati Sharmila, and all other scientists at CMTI, and also various startups who are the part of the deliberations, and all the invited guests and delegates. I feel very happy to speak on this occasion of business meet on advanced machines and process technologies. It's a 2022 is a great year for us. A lot of optimism, a lot of good things initiated and happening. And one of them is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which we are celebrating on the occasion of completion of 75 years of our independence. And in fact, there is a festive atmosphere in the entire country today. When we talk of celebration of this Amrit Mahotsav, 10th to 16th of January 2022, we are having also Innovation Week celebrations. And this is also the celebration of, like today is Baisakhi, which is celebrated all over India in different forms, and tomorrow will be the Makar Sankranti, when the transition of sun takes place, and this marks a new beginning for the new year. So with this, my wishes for a very, very happy new year to all of you. And I'm sure we all are going to do very well in this year. And as far as when we speak of higher dreams for our country, we are aspiring that by 2030, India should be a knowledge economy. By the year 24-25, we should be a $5 trillion economy. And that is why, in fact, all our policies like Skill India, Digital India, Vocal for Local, Startup India, etc., basically, they are all being implemented with one vision in mind, that we should be a self-reliant India, a Atmanirbhar Bharat, something like starting India 2.0, where an India where we will be the manufacturing hub for the world. And when we say that India should be the manufacturing hub of the world, then CMTI has got a very important role to play in this, because we provide machineries for this being manufacturing hub. And we at CMTI, we are very fortunate that we have inspirations and directions from Dr. V.K. Saraswat, who is also a member of NITI Aayog and he is chairman of our governing council. In fact, Dr. Saraswat has been continuously guiding us and telling us that we have to come up to the global standards, and CMTI has to deliver a performance on the global standards as well. So it's good that Dr. Naganumaya is providing a very good leadership to CMTI, and CMTI is taking some very good steps as far as the collaboration and connect with the industry is concerned, and also compliment for this video which we have just seen. It showcases in a very nice manner about various capabilities which CMTI is developing to help the industry in the country. And I must also compliment CMTI that you are taking a very active part in the Drishti program of Ministry of Heavy Industries. Drishti program, as we all are aware, stands for Design, Research and Innovation by Harvesting Science and Technology for Industry. It's a very ambitious program for Ministry of Heavy Industries. And I also compliment CMTI that now these 54 technologies are available for transfer to the industry. And as I have been telling Dr. Naganumaya, that once having developed these technologies, now we have got no right to sit on these technologies. And we must now have a mission approach in transferring these technologies to the milling industry in the country. In fact, I will appreciate CMTI more when after 6 months, Dr. Naganumaya tells me that now, as all these 54 technologies are concerned, they have been successfully transferred and implemented in the industry. That will be the real test for the existence of CMTI. And last 2 years, they have been years of great change. And I am glad that CMTI has made very good use of this time. When we worked virtual, when we worked from home. And this is also the time when CMTI had collaborations with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Tata Power Solar Systems, MHI Engineering Services, etc. And CMTI also entered into some very good MOUs with educational institutes of national eminence like Jaipur, Kurukshetra, and Uttarakhand, and is further now making plans to work in the areas of skill development, Industry 4.0, additive manufacturing, composites, and nanomaterials. CMTI, you are indeed making great contributions to the progress of our country. And I feel very happy that when you organize this meet today, you have 3 very clear objectives. Number 1, to introduce the technologies for commercialization and transferring it to the industry. Number 2, to discuss the technology-based support systems and incentives for industries from government and other institutions. And third great thing which you are planning to do today is sharing the experience with and from the different startups. So today's event, CMTI, is a step in the right direction. a tiny step towards celebration of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. And I will say, to sum up, that my compliments to CMTI, who are actively collaborating and developing the technologies. My compliments to the industry, who was participating in a very enthusiastic way, and also my compliments to the startups. In fact, only yesterday I was attending a e-symposium on building innovation and ecosystems organized by Ministry of Education. And I was very pleasantly told that in last 7 years, India has created 80 unicorns. The unicorns who got converted from startups to the unicorns, and out of these 80 unicorns, 40 unicorns have been added only in the last 1 year. I hope we are clear that when I say one unicorn means one company which has a value of more than $1 million. So startups, and in fact, yesterday's event, it was attended by various institutions and educational people who are in the educational field. And can you imagine the number of participants? On a virtual meet, more than 90,000 people got connected and attended to that what will be the shape of things to come in innovations, in entrepreneurships and other areas. So when we talk of a prosperous India and a happy India, startups are going to play a very, very important role in that. So I'm sure CMTI, the industry and the startups, they will have very good collaborations and productive discussions today. I wish the deliberations all the success, and CMTI, I urge upon you to organize more and more of these kind of events in the near future. With this, best wishes to you. Godspeed. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for expressing your ideas on self-reliant India and for recognizing the remarkable works of Drishti of CMTI. We kindly look forward for your advice and guidelines in terms of business for CMTI. Thank you, sir. I request Shri Mohanraj PR, Joint Director of CMTI, for briefing on CMTI technologies ready for commercialization.
Thank you. So, good morning, Dr. Tyagi. Good morning to all those logged into today's session, and as well greetings from CMTI for the new year. The focus of today's presentation or this session will be about creating awareness on CMTI technologies and look at the technologies developed at CMTI, how we can transfer these technologies to industries for commercialization. As a preface to this presentation, I thought I will put up this slide since it sort of provides a context to the topic of technology development and commercialization. Most of you attending this session would be largely aware of what this slide speaks about. R&D, research and development. Research and development is, everybody knows the need, the purpose, or the significance of R&D in an economy like India. R&D results in, generating knowledge, understanding. It also can result in discoveries, inventions, and depending on the maturity level of the technology, we can classify them as TRL 1 to TRL 9, where TRL 1 represents a very basic research, and TRL 48 normally represents a field application of the solution. That means it has served a purpose or solved a problem. And all of you are aware, R&D consumes a lot of fund. And the top half of this loop, if you see, is all about the spending, R&D spend that gets eaten up by the R&D. Now, this loop doesn't get completed unless we have a return of investment or a multiplier effect of the funds that are spent into R&D. And that means we have to enter into TRL 9, which is largely about commercialization of the technologies that have been developed, but have not seen light of day or that have been pushed into the market for commercialization. And that is where we are talking about the technology transfer of the technologies that are generated in R&D houses and that are pushed to the industries. And therefore, this is the backdrop with which we will look at the technologies that are developed at CMTI. Since inception, CMTI has been active in two areas of manufacturing technology or R&D. To speak about, they are the special product development and the special process development. When we speak of special product development, this is largely design intensive, and we look at areas of machinery, industrial machinery, or the ultra precision machines, machines capable of micro and nano manufacturing, aerospace systems, sensors and vision systems, IIoT. These are the current areas of interest at CMTI. And to speak of these machines, we are not only looking at the mechanical systems, but also the associated systems like electronic systems, control systems. It could be the IT, it could be the mechatronics. So we generate technology solution for all these aggregate systems. The second vertical that we are talking about is the special process development, and the current focus is on advanced manufacturing technology of the times that we are looking at is smart manufacturing, ultra precision manufacturing, micro and nano manufacturing, sensors and microsystem fabrication, additive manufacturing, surface engineering, and complex machining. So the fact is that most of these projects or the R&D projects at CMTI are customer driven, largely by the industry, general industry or strategic industry. And the technologies that get generated are a culmination of these projects that have been sponsored. It could be also sponsored by initiatives from the government of India also. So this slide talks about the legacy technologies that are also available at CMTI. CMTI in 2022 is celebrating its 60th year of existence, and throughout its 6 decades of existence, we have gone across the spectrum of manufacturing technology like conventional machine tools, NC technology, CNC technology, SIM technology, ultra precision engineering, and therefore in the last 6 decades, we have developed solutions for many industries which are lying dormant with us, and they still have the potential to be commercialized. So what we have done now, as Dr. Tyagi was speaking about it, we have formed a special business development group at CMTI to spearhead the transition or the transfer of these technologies to industries for commercialization, with exclusive focus on hand-holding and about seeing that these technologies see the light of day or create value for the industry. The basic idea is that the developed countries all have an innovation-based economy. That means innovation drives their economy, and unless they have a very good conversion rate, that is, ideas getting converted into products and enter the market, there is no return of interest. So what India needs to do is look at how we can put these products into the market and gain a big market share. So the outcome of the business development group is that we have had 2 technology releases, 2 versions of technology releases, release 1 and release 2, compiling a total of about 54 technologies as our director was speaking. And this is the canvas of the technology release 1.0, which we did in 2020. And it comprises of about 22 technologies, both special products and special processes. The highlights of which we have already heard was one of them was the ultra precision turning machine or the diamond turning machine. And then, of course, we also had a product for abrasive flow finishing machine. We also had a micro fabrication system. And then, of course, we also heard about the additive manufacturing process, where we looked at manufacturing of parts through additive manufacturing. And of course, we also have the optical standard glass scales, manufacturing process for optical glass scales. Technology Profile Release 2 came out in 2021 and comprises about 29 technologies. And here the focus was on looking at aggregate systems for machineries. And apart from that, we also had process technologies, and key amongst them, if you see, will be the ultra precision air bearing spindles, the air bearing rotary stage, process technology for aluminum diffusion, and the likes. We are also contemplating a release 3.0, where we are looking at machines that are required for the aerospace or the space industry. As you know, the space industry has opened up in the recent times, and these machines were exclusively built for the space industry, where we looked at machines that are capable of batch mixing as well as continuous mixing. and have a large potential in the years to come. Since due to the paucity of time, in today's session, I will not be able to elaborate on each of these 54 technologies. I've chosen a few technologies which we have already transferred to industry, and a few other interesting technologies which I will highlight to you. The first one is, of course, the technology that we generated for the high-speed shuttleless rapier loom. This is a unique technology for the reason that this was an initiative driven by the Ministry of Heavy Industries under their capital goods scheme phase 1. The funding for this development came from, the majority funding came from the Ministry of Heavy Industries scheme. And then, of course, there was a minority funding also from industry partners, a consortium of industry partners where 5 industries came together to see that this product got developed and this technology can be plugged into or commercialized. Now, the speciality of this is that at the start of the project itself, the focus was on commercialization. And therefore, this technology has been transferred to those 5 industries with an exclusive license for about, with a lock-in period of about 3 years. In this project, apart from the major machine, we also looked at certain inbuilt technology, innate technologies like the weaving technology, high-speed weaving technology, the warp tension regulation systems, the servo motor-driven electronic let-off and take-up systems, the high-speed weft insertion systems, the conjugate cam beat-up motion system, and a microprocessor-based controller. These technologies, these subsystem technologies also have the potential to work with other machineries also, and therefore there are cross applications possible. Second technology which I would like to highlight today is about the ultra-stiff, ultra-precision diamond turning machine. This technology won the FIE Foundation Award at Impex 2019, and this is a pinnacle of accuracy of the machine tool. Here we are looking at, this has all the latest technologies inbuilt with intelligence also, intelligent controller also, and can generate surface roughness of the order of 2 nanometer and form accuracy is better than 0.2 micron. And this technology, my colleague, Mr. Gopi Krishna, has already spoken about to you. The third technology which I would highlight is the thermal error compensation for machine tool applications, which again we heard about in the video. This technology was hitherto not available in the country, and the significance of this technology is that it can improve the machine accuracy, any machines when applied to it, by multifold. And the IP in this technology is largely about a neural network based algorithm, which we can share with the industries. The fourth technology I would like to speak about is the high precision optical standard precision scales, the manufacturing technology for which was transferred to an industry and has been successfully commercialized. Also, I will give you a glimpse of the rest of the few of the 54 technologies that was spoken about. An important one is an aggregate system, ultra stiff, ultra precision hydrostatic slide, which has numerous applications. Apart from the precision machinery, we can also look at heavy machineries, we can look at grinding machineries, hard turning, and such other applications. The point here is that it talks about a hydrostatic slide which runs on high pressurized oil film and therefore has very minimal or negligible coefficient of friction and has very high capability for very high accuracy of motion. We also have the technology for the ultra precision air bearing spindle or the nanospin, and here we are looking at an air bearing spindle which has the order of which can deliver very high running accuracy of the spindle. This technology is ready for transfer, TRL7. Another technology, interesting technology, is the spindle error scope, where we use this system to analyze or to measure the running accuracy of a spindle, and the capability of this error scope is looking at accuracies, running accuracies below 10 microns. Machine health management system or the machine fault diagnostic module is an interesting technology that was developed at CMTI, where we look at vibration data and looking at monitoring the vibration data and analyzing them for the health pattern, for monitoring the health pattern or the health condition of the machinery. Abrasive flow finishing machine looks at micro or nano finishing of components which cannot be finished by any other conventional process. Complex surfaces like these can be finished on this abrasive flow finishing machine. 3D micro fabrication system looks at the technology required to make components out of polymer microfabrication of various applications in MEMS, jewelry, biomedical industry. The thread measurement system is a non-contact vision-based system for external thread measurement, and therefore has wide application possibilities in the industry, where we look at not only defect detection but also dimensional measurement. It has a measurement range of up to 30 mm and a measurement accuracy of plus minus 10 micron. A 3D scanner, again a very important technology which was hitherto not available in the country, looks at how we can look at 3D measurements for reverse engineering or for automated inspection tasks of large complex. It can be taken to the spot in situ measurements. And these are some of the applications that have been highlighted for the 3D scanner: a tire mold, a lower human jaw model, a turbine, etc. A battery-operated hydraulic power pack to charge fighter aircraft brake accumulator was developed for the aerospace industry, and this technology is available for transfer for commercialization. Temperature sensor. We have the process for scratch-resistant hydrophobic surfaces, which we can transfer to the industries. Process for scratch-resistant and aesthetic surfaces. Salient feature being high-hardness diamond-like carbon film, which can be deposited without heating. Of course, it has very wide commercial application. With that, I will also have a brief about the mechanisms that are currently available at CMTI for the technology transfer. One of the methods that we have adopted successfully is the licensing agreement, licensing mode, where we look at an exclusive or also a non-exclusive basis. Of course, the exclusive will have a finite lock-in period. The general purpose of this technology transfer happens to be for community benefit, and therefore we would not like to, in general, look at exclusive licensing. The features of this agreement generally is about, there is a one-time licensing fee coupled with or without a royalty. And then we can also execute an MOU for technology handholding and support. So what comes along with the technology transfer is the design documentation, drawings, bill of materials, critical technologies, manufacturing and assembly process sheets, database of process of the recipe, testing and acceptance protocols, the vendor list, machineries and infrastructure required, and the handholding. I must mention here that the technology transfer done by CMT, like was mentioned earlier, will not be a black box. The know-how, the know-why, everything will be transferred, and therefore very dependable. And of course, it also has the potential for further amplification or further development conducted by the industry itself. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. And for further details, I would request all of you logged in to contact the business development group at CMTA. Thank you once again.
Good. Good, Mohan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for providing the complete understanding of technologies which are available for commercialization developed by CMTI. I request Srimati Sharmila MR, Group Head for Business Development and Support Service, to give presentation on Industry CMTI Affiliate Program.
Good morning, Tyagi sir, and eminent speakers, participants, and my dear colleagues. So, Business Development Group had identified 54 technologies for technology transfer. So, apart from that, we planned to come out with a scheme or a package for our industries who had requested to make a package kind of a benefit who are availing lab services. So, just I will give a brief about the scheme. It has it's industry CMT academic CMT affiliate program, and it has got a package of lab services as well as training program. So industries who are interested in availing lab services as well as training programs can avail other benefits as well, which will be additional benefits for them. I will just brief what are the features offered under this scheme. One is access to CMT laboratory facilities, wherein it covers machining, calibration, inspection, testing, characterization, and MEMS packaging. And priority will be given to member industries to avail lab services. And this ICAP aims to network with the industries for joint research collaborations through scientific interactions, technological developments in engineering field, exclusive skill development and utilization of centralized research facilities as well as resources of CMTI. And the second one is the industry which gets affiliated with CMTI can utilize the facilities worth 3.5 lakhs. Apart from this, they can avail training programs wherein CMTI is offering around 28 short-term training programs in a year, which is spread across a year, which can be availed by the industry which gets affiliated with the institute, as well as training programs can be customized according to the needs of the industry also. Then workshops, seminars, conferences. CMTI conducts various programs wherein free of registrations can be availed by the employees of the industries. There is maximum number of registrations per year, 6 employees or officers, and maximum 2 registrations per program. So additional benefits, dedicated workshop can be organized by a CMTI when industries come forward for organizing any programs or seminars, and collaborative development activities can also be arranged. The validity of MOU will be 1 year, and technology transfer, concession on technology transfer fee of around 10% can be offered to the member industry if they come forward for taking our technology for transfer. And services of resource persons from our institute, eminent scientists, can deliver FTPCs in-house, and maximum lectures hours online, offline might be 4 or 8 hours per year. So these are the brief detail on the industry CMTI affiliate program. Interested industries can contact us for further information. Thank you.
Just to add on to this, idea of this affiliate program is, if you want to avail the service from CMTI, so for every cases we need to process like inquiry, quotation, then processing those, all the time delay. But this affiliate program will allows you to use the facility. The moment you become an affiliate, you will have a identification number. So you just code the identification number and bring your samples and get the service done. So that is another, in case there are many cases, sometimes you come with the sample, but our facility, because of the, unless you place an order, this will not be taken up. These are all problems are there. So I think this is another additional advantage to become an affiliate program, apart from getting a priority services and also the discounted services. Before moving to the next session, we have some of our business development group, business advisory group members, Professor Ramesh Babu and Dr. Balashankaram joined. Sir, we request, sir, if you can able to speak on this occasion. Professor Ramesh Babu.
Yeah, see, good morning. Yeah, good morning, namaste to everyone. Agiji, namaste, and other members of the advisory group, and the team who is organizing the entire event, familiarizing the technologies, developed in the CMTI. In fact, the event is very relevant for today's activities in terms of promoting the innovation to make India as economically strong, and enthusiastically participating youth will also benefit immensely in such activities. In fact, I think we have been discussing about it in the business advisory group also on how to promote these technologies. I think unless we bring these technologies to the limelight through several activities such as the one that he is doing it today, it is difficult for any of these things being to be appreciated by the industrial community. I think let me make a few points very clear to the community which is attending this particular event, especially from the industry. And of course, the academia is also like what CMTI is doing it to a certain extent, but sometimes we may not even go beyond what the CMTI is doing it. But then of late, the importance of this translational research has become very, very relevant and also apt to this country. With a huge youth being available, and unless we make use of this particular power, I think it is difficult for us to become the economically strong. I think the events that are happening under this Azadi Amrit Mahotsav, to showcase the achievements of various institutions such as the CMTA and other the R&D establishment, as well as the innovation centers and incubation centers in India. So unless these activities are brought to the limelight, quite frequently through the publicity channel. In fact, the innovators are poor the publicity makers. In the sense, they don't know how to really make the publicity of innovations. That is where the valley of death is seen by many of the innovations that have emerged from many academic institutions in this country, many R&D establishments which are quite large in number in this particular country. So in my opinion, it's like a in the sense bringing the technologies and innovations to the limelight, to a systematic effort is a must in the current century. I think if we don't do it, perhaps all of them also will disappear in course of time. And I also know that the industries, the viewpoint is completely different from the R&D and academic institutions. And once they know something about these technologies, they tend to think that they can develop by themselves. Hence, why do we need to pay any money for such technology transfer, etc.? I think let me give my own experiences with several multinational companies who used to interact with IITs and other establishments in India. I think they look at the depth of the know-how rather than the breadth of the technology being made available to anyone. So unless we develop that depth in any technological innovations, then it becomes like a mere a business proposal without building this sort of a technological depth, through these efforts. So in my opinion, I strongly feel that the innovation centers and incubation centers and the establishments like CMTI and of course the many institutions, academic institutions are also around, and they should also actively participate if we wanted to really make a headway in this innovation in a big way. Unless, and this is made as a routine matter with commitment from all the stakeholders, I do not really see that there is a exponential growth in this knowledge economy. Unless it becomes exponentially strong, you will not be able to really make yourself as a great country with power in both innovation as well as the technology. So I think with these few words, I just congratulate Dr. Naganamaya and their team, which has put up a lot of effort in order to bring out this video and also showcasing these technologies. So though we may do certain things, on the paper and also in the colleges and academic institutions, I think we don't have the habit of translating this into a nice piece of poster. In fact, I used to tell many of my students, I think we used to do it through the conferences where the technology or innovation or ideas are presented. But I think it should become the way even the government may have to promote it through some channels like information and broadcasting, that these technologies have to be showcased through several media. I think what we see in the TVs and others is only a small piece of publicity for the known technologies and well-known technologies which are developed by somebody else, but not our technologies. I feel that maybe some of our Dr. Tyagi and others can also look at this sort of publicity. Say, apart from what we do it in the conferences, yes, we meet and then share, but then that's not enough for this country if you wanted to really encourage the youngsters and make them really enthusiastic in participating in this innovation. When they see that there is a large opportunity, I'm sure that they will jump into it and then try to do much more than what they are doing it right now. Yes, we have the power, and we need to empower them, and we need to tap this power into the knowledge economy. Then only I think we can really become a superpower. That will really give us the satisfaction at the end of the day. So I think with these few remarks, I would like to thank them once again, and I wish them all the best. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So now our next speaker is waiting. So
Shri Amitabh Srivastava, Managing Partner of July Ventures. Over 3 decades, Sir has experience in angel investor, serial entrepreneur, and senior executive with MNCs. Due to his ill health condition, I request him to deliver talk for today as per his convenience.
Good morning, everyone. This is Amitabh Srivastava. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with all of you. I think I may have acquired COVID, but so far I'm not in that bad condition. It's just that I can't speak for very long. I'd like to make this into an interactive session, but I realize that there are so many participants, it may get a bit confusing. So I'll try and share my screen and give a few thoughts, spend about 5 minutes on that one. If there are any questions that come on the chat, please throw them at me, and it'll be good to have a Q&A. Is that okay, sir? Dr. Tyagi? Okay. I will try. Yeah. Okay. I will. So briefly, thank you for the introduction. I have, started my career in the corporate world. I've been a serial entrepreneur, at least started 6 different companies, 3 of which I have sold. And most of my experience has been in as an investor. So started my career, working for all large companies, founded half a dozen startups, got a few exits. I have done 30 plus investments, got exits in quite a few of them. And I have also been involved with CSI Tech Private Limited as a founder. This was an effort by Government of India to enable technologies emanating from government-funded laboratories to get commercialized. And I also founded the India Science Venture Fund. Unfortunately, it is non-functional today. So quickly, what does it take to get your venture funded? Everybody, most of you are probably technologists who have created a product out there, and you think that the product is the best in the world. And it probably is the best in the world, but you have to remember one thing, that at the end of the day, the beauty that you have created needs to be a beauty in the eye of the beholder. And the beholder in this case, when you're trying to get your business out in the market, is in the eye of the investor. So most investors like to see some work in progress before they start to discuss with you whether you can whether they can invest in your business or not. They don't like to see an idea just on a piece of paper. So what I will do is, if you are going to make a pitch to an investor, what do the investors look for? But just before that, what are the basics of any investor thought? And for that, you need to understand the concept of valuations. Yeah, it's important to understand the basics of valuation. So let me take an example. Just give me a second. Let's say you go to an angel investor and you are trying to raise either 2.5 crores or 2.5. There's 250K US dollars or whatever that is, and you have negotiated a 25% stake in the company. So what does it mean? How much is the company worth? So if you take the ratios and proportions method that we have all learned in 8, 9, and 10 standard, so if you say that 25% is worth 250K, then what is 100% worth? Okay, I'll repeat that. 25% is worth 250K, therefore 100% is worth how much? And I know that most of you are on mute, so the 100% is worth 1,000K or about $1 million. Okay, so this pie chart explains that the investor puts in 250K into your company, or approximately what, 2 crores or 2.5 crores into your company. So the moment they put the money into your company, the company is worth $1 million, which means that 1 second before this 250K is put into your company is perceived to be worth 750K. So there's a perception, or you're trying to tell a story which is worth 750K, so that when the investor puts in $250,000, then your company is worth 1 million. If you have any questions, please post on the chat, and I'll request somebody to post those questions to me. So let's look at the bottom of the screen. It says that 750K, which is called as the pre-money valuation of your company, plus the money. The money is 250K, which the investor has put in. So pre-money plus money is equal to post-money. So in this case, pre-money was 750K. When the investor puts in 250K, the whole worth becomes 1 million. So you're about to tell a story, and you need to figure out how your presentation should look like, how your body language should be, etc. So your story, excuse me, has a tangible story and has an intangible story. But whatever you say, the tangible story plus the intangible story must be equal to 750K. And why 750K? Remember, you're trying to project your company to be worth 750K so that 250K, when it is put into the company, your company will become $1 million. And you will have given 25% equity to the investor. Okay. So obviously you want to make sure that you tell more about the tangible side of your story rather than intangible side of the story. To say that I'm the best scientist or the best technician to have made something happen is not good enough. Yeah? You need to tell a little more story which can be diligenced. Diligence means it can be verified, cross-verified by a third party. So that's the story that you will tell to an investor. I'm giving you investor's perspective, but you can mirror that to say how you should present your business to an investor and what it will look like. Okay. Now, if you have if you can take a screenshot of this one. Everything that an investor likes to deep dive into is categorized into 5 things, 5 bubbles that are put in front of your screen. And I will go through them one by one, but let me just briefly say, first is the team. The second is how well you know the market. The third is what is the kind of offering that you're making to the market. The fourth is what have you achieved till date. And last but not the least, what kind of returns can the investor expect? Yeah. But all these 5 things are not, it's not like a table where we say on a score of 10, team gets 7, on a score of 1 to 10, the market that they're chasing gets 5. It's not like that. It is a combination of all the 5 things that are there in front of your screen, which are looked at collectively before the decision to invest is made. So talking about the team, one of the things you have to bear in mind is that you will not get your funding in one meeting. Your funding will come in 3 to 7 meetings before a decision is taken. There'll be lots and lots of question and answers. They will ask you to go back and prepare something that you've not done that. And the assessment at the end of every meeting will be, is this the right team to execute the plan and get investors the exit? You as a founder may not exit your business. That's okay. That's perfect. But remember, an investor is there to get an exit. Yeah. If they want to do some philanthropy or give away grants, they can do that, but they will do that outside of the funds that they have allocated for investment. Yeah. And remember, they have options to make their investments. So the focus is on team. Who's there in the team? Is the team complete? Do they have marketing person? Do they have finance person? Do they have obviously a technology person? And rest of the staff to make it happen. Yeah. So after the team, one of the assessments will be how well the team has studied the market and come up with the problem. How well do they know the competition? If you look at my cursor, it is pointing to this particular box. And in case I'm not audible, one of you may, or my screen is not clear, one of you may need to tell me and I will make the correction here. So team, market, is there enough headroom for growth? Is the market stagnant or is it growing? And if it is growing, then how much of headroom is there for the growth? Third is how good is your product? Is the product being launched at the right time? Are you too early for the market? Yeah. Or are you too late for the market, which means that there's too much competition in the market? Yeah. What kind of channel partners are you going to adopt to distribute your products? So it's not just good enough to come up with what is that EpiPen, that injection for people who have asthma and things like that, right? So if you've come up with a brilliant idea on a product, then how are you going to distribute it? How will the market know that you exist? Just because you get an award in a function doesn't mean that everybody knows you in the market. So, and what kind of pricing structure are you putting in place? Fourth is, what kind of traction have you achieved in terms of knowing the market, getting your product ready, how many users, how many free users, how many paid users, and so on and so forth for whatever product. And your product may be, it may be a heavy asset which may be leased to your customers. So in which case they need to understand how far along you are in terms of the KPI. And we will try and see if we have some time, we can spend some time on KPI. So KPI is key performance indicator of the progress of your company, not of your project. Do not look at your product as a project. It's a company that you're trying to raise, because investors put money only into a company, not into an idea or a product. And obviously the investors want to know what are the terms of investment. How much equity are you going to give? Will you give me a board seat if I invest into your company? And things like that. And like I said, last but not the least, investors will assess internally. They will not talk about it upfront or in the very first meeting, but during the 3 to 7 meetings that they will have internally, the investors will make an assessment. Is there enough conviction of a return on the investment that the investors are making? I hope it is clear. Are there any questions on the chat board?
No, sir.
Okay. Awesome, which means everything must be crystal clear. Okay.
In fact, I must tell you, Amitabh ji,
Ji,
the way you are explaining it, the way you are really going through about it, I am feeling as if I am in a classroom attending to a wizard on how to look for the investments. Great compliments to you.
No. Thank you very much. Normally, I do this on a period of 1 hour with lots and lots of Q&A, because there are many questions, but I'll try and cover the key points. If anybody wants to reach out to me, they can go through my LinkedIn profile and send me a message on the LinkedIn profile, or my email ID is amitabh@julaiventures.com, and I'm quite happy to address. One of the things that I want to achieve in my own personal life is to contribute to the entire ecosystem of entrepreneurs in India. And one thing is about making money, but the other is to improve the ecosystem. The better the ecosystem of the founders and co-investors, the better the quality of deals that come my way. Okay, so I had spoken to you about KPIs, or key performance indicators. See, for an early stage company with very low revenues, it is very hard for an investor to come up with a valuation. And remember, we started talking about the whole discussion on valuations. So what do the investors look at? They will look at the key performance indicators. So I'm going to give you an example. It is not a great example, but let me try and give you. Let's say you want to buy a property in a prime location in Delhi. How will you go about doing that? So you will say, by what is the square footage of the apartment that I'm trying to buy? Then you will go through all these websites to look at what is the per square foot value. Is my presentation not clear? Okay. All right. There are some people who are asking me questions on the chat bot. I will go on. So if you want to purchase a flat, you look at the square footage and you look at the prevailing rates in the market, you multiply the two and you come up with the valuation. Yeah. So here the key parameter is what is the square foot. Yeah. Similarly, in your business, the equivalent of a square foot is what is the traction that you have achieved. And these tractions are of 4 types. There is a financial metric. There is a loyalty metric. How sticky are your customers? How much do they like you? Will their business suffer if your product, if your company is closed down? So those are all key performance indicators of a loyalty. Then scale. Scale refers to how fast can you grow. So you've done slow because initially the growth of most companies is slow and then it starts to rise. And then scale also refers to with how much less money your traction will be higher. The traction which comes out in financial. Now you can replace the word financial by by other traction. So if you're a pre-revenue company, and most of you might be pre-revenue companies, then you can replace that by how many users are currently using your product, whatever the product might be. Okay. Last but not the least is the moat. Moat is basically the differential or the that you have created with respect to your competition. The next slide is you can take a screenshot of this one. This refers to all the different types of KPIs that the investor will look at and multiply it by a suitable market multiplier and come up with a pre-money valuation of your company. Okay. There were a few questions that I saw. Can I take those questions? How much time do I have?
Sir, there is one question.
Yes.
So the question is whether the expertise of the team can be considered as tangible.
Of course, that is how. Well, so how do you define the word expertise? The question is, how do you define the word expertise? If you go and take a look in the Webster's dictionary, does it say there is a scale? There is a scale. If you say that I am a CGPA of 10 from IIT Mumbai, yes, that is a good measure of your expertise in having passed the exam. But is that an indication of your expertise on the subject that you are? So it is really not just about the expertise. The expertise has to translate into a product. So if you look at the screen, what is the product that you have created? How well do the market like it? And how much are they willing to pay you? The traction bit. Yeah. So a combination of all this will constitute the strength of the team. And remember, there is one more expertise that the team needs to have. It is the ability to attract the next round of investment, not the current round of investment. Current round of investment, you come to me already. But what is your ability? You can raise, let's say, 2.5 crores. But are you capable of raising 100 crores? Can you talk with confidence and give enough data to the investor to say, sir, I want to raise 100 crores and my pre-money valuation is 300 crore. So how do you say that? So all these things will constitute a perception of your expertise. Yeah. So you have to provide as much data as possible so that the investor perceives that you have the expertise. So yes, team is probably one of the most important bit in this one. By the way, one question: if the team is great but the market is not great, then what's the use? Market may be stagnant. So moving on, I hope you've taken a screen grab of this one. All right, I have 2 more slides and I will stop after that. So what makes a business investable through equity? Remember, you can get your business funded through debt, which is through loans, or you can get your business funded through equity, which means you will, in return for the money, you will issue a piece of paper which says, here is a share certificate, you hold so many shares in my company. When you give loan, when you get loan, then the lender will probably hypothecate your house or some tangible asset in your company or in your personal front. But when you get an investment through an equity, what do you get? What does the investor get? They only get a piece of paper which says that, sir, I have put in so much money, I have got this much shares in your company. If something goes wrong, then everybody is a loser. There is no collateral as such. Although I don't want to get into it, it is possible to have those arrangements in your shareholders agreement, but that's not the purpose of the discussion just now. Okay, so before we consider what is likely to be investable through equity, let's go through. Again, you can take a screen grab, or if some of you are interested, you can go through my LinkedIn profile. And in my LinkedIn profile, there is a button to download one presentation that I have made available for any founder to look at, and you can see all this from there itself. So if you are trying to create a business which is for paying rent, paying salaries, and for all the consumables, which means that you're trying to raise working capital, then it is not a great investment to seek through equity. If you are a single founder, it's a problem. If you hold very little equity, let's say in the not in the first round, but in the second round, if the promoters or the founders hold very little equity, very little equity depends on the stage in which you are. But let's say if you're raising your first round and your friends and family are also on the shareholding table, then you should be at least around 90% or more. Yeah. If you have raised money, then you're coming for the next round, then you should be at least around 75 or 80% equity. Yeah, I will not go through all of this. Again, you can take a screen grab, but please remember, if you are going to raise the money to buy capital, make a capital expenditure or a heavy equipment, it is a strict no. You should always rent a heavy machinery for running your business. You should not buy it. If you want to buy a 5 lakh or a 10 lakh equipment in a 2.5 crore loan equity, then it's okay. But if you're going to spend 75 lakhs out of the 2.5 crores in purchasing an equipment, then it's a no-no. Yeah. If you are a services company, which means you're not building a brand, again, it's a no-no. And investors don't like founders negotiating their salaries. Investors will tell you how much salary you can draw. And please remember, when you take money from an investor, the way you are seeking the money from the investor is equally eager to get the best team, which means it is a marriage. And in which case, the investors will look, good investor will always look after the founders. Okay, you will hear stories in the market about he's a bad investor, but such bad investors are very few. Listen, this is like a marriage. You know, you can't really, look at cheating one another. It can't happen. There was one question that came out. I'd like somebody to read it out to me, please. It was a good question. It just went out. Can somebody please read out?
How to approach for technology-based high-value product company where initial investment is huge?
So, yeah. So go back to my 5 those circles. Yeah, go back to that one. How well do you know the market? What is the product that you have developed? If you are at an idea stage, you are less likely to get investment. Yeah. So have I? Can you repeat the question, please? I just want to make sure that I've answered the question fully.
Yes, I'm repeating. How to approach for technology-based high-value product company where initial investment is huge?
So what do investors want? Investors, not donors, not people who give grants. We are not talking on that subject. We are talking about investors. Investors can put their money in buying a land. They can put money in buying gold. They can put money in the stock market. Why should they put money into your business? It is for a return, which is disproportionate to the kind of investment that they are making. So they are hoping to get a return. So if you are trying to raise very large sum of money, I don't know, again, I don't like this term very large, expert, because these are immeasurable. You have to give me an example, then I can give you a proper answer. But in general, you can take it that you should stage your fundraise in such a way that you show some progress, then raise some money, show some progress, raise some money. So it may be a difference of 9 months to 15 months before. So you raise enough money for the next 9 months to 15 months. And then you keep on raising as you show progress. Nobody is going to give you upfront 15 crores, for example, if you are at a very, very early stage of your product. It's not going to happen. Because remember, 9 out of 10 companies, statistically, 9 out of 10 companies throughout the world fail in the first 3 years of their existence. So how much risk the investor is taking on your idea? Next slide, and the last one is what is likely to be investable through equity. Please take a screenshot of this one. Investors like to invest in a business which is not services and has a defendable intellectual property. I don't mean patent. I mean defendable intellectual property. Coca-Cola still does not have a patent. Yet they are a market leader. Okay, so you need to have businesses that have defendable intellectual property. That is important. Just by having a patent, I don't care about patents. I only care about your ability to defend that patent. What is your ability to defend it? That's important. I look into the promoter's background. Are you relevant to the business? Yeah. I like to see the ability of the founders to attract middle management in your company. Many founders come to me and they say, sir, we need to raise more money because I have to give higher salary. Are you are raising money for giving employment to people or for creating value in the company? So your ability to attract the middle management is very, very crucial. Then Some of you may be already in a job and are trying to create a business. That means you have no skin in the game. If your business fails, nothing happens to you. The investor will lose. So I will stop over here because I think I've run out of time. I will do for questions. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Permeability, viscosity.
Sorry, sir. Actually, there was some site work is going on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Please ask me any questions. I'll take any questions now.
Virtual तो था सर.
Please put yourself on mute if you are not contributing to this discussion. Okay, if there are no further questions, Dr. Tyagi and everybody else, I will take your leave. I'm available anytime anybody wants to contact with me.
Excellent, Amitabh-ji. Great. Pleasure listening to you.
That was a spectacular and eventful presentation by Amitabh Srivastava sir. Market and its problems, the approach to deal with the problems were pointed well versed. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Now I request Shri Shivshankar Nayak KL, Joint Director, Department of Technical Education, Government of Karnataka, to address the event in terms of academic relevance to entrepreneurship.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the dignitaries. I'm privileged to be part of the business meet on advanced machines and process technologies at CMTI. I am honored to be part of this meet. Dr. Tyagi sir, Dr. Nagahan sir, and all the other dignitaries who have joined into this hybrid mode of interaction. And after the presentation of Amitabh Srivastava sir, it has become very difficult for me to make a presentation because I was more into the basics of stating what is a startup, and he has already delivered that how a startup has to be visualized, and a prospective startup should look into the basic nuances to be successful. So it has become more difficult for me to present, but still then the basic aspects through the timeline, as the Honorable Prime Minister in his speech on August 15th of 2015, he said that India will look into the startups, that is new initiatives which are technology driven, innovation driven, and promising technologies, both in terms of material and services. So I will go into the presentations. Directly we will go to the fourth slide. Yes. So here, what is a startup? As Amitabh sir told, that an idea or a prototype cannot attract investment, and startup shall be from the stage of a company, that is a private limited or a limited liability partnership or a private partnership. In these three capacities, an entity can register for startup. And all these information are available at startupindia.com and also startupindia.gov.in. Once a company registers for startup, these 6 components are very crucial. The one is that it should be a company, and its turnover should not be more than 25 crores, and which now it has been enhanced to 100 crores now. The entity should not have been formed by splitting up or reconstructing an existing business. So this should be a new entity, and a new innovative aspect or technology driven aspect or the product or service driven thing. It should work towards innovation, development, improvement of products and process or services. And it should be scalable. As Amitabh sir told, the product or the service should draw investment, and also it should show the way that it is going to grow. So it should be scalable business module with a high potential of employment. This is the basic objective of the government, that it should create employment and also it should create wealth. registered or incorporated not prior to 7 years from 2016. That is, a company which it wants to register as a startup now, it should have started at least not later than 7 years from this date. So these core things are needed to register as a startup. And as Amitabh Srivastava sir has already addressed things, that once there is a startup which has come up with a new technology or a new product or a service, it goes to the startup registration, it gets registered. And the next important thing is the startup hub, where the data in the website shows such encouraging things that throughout India, every state has registered startups, and we have 75 startup hubs throughout the country. Even the remotest northeast states have startups registered. Those data are in the next slide. So why the government is looking at startups? It is to boost up, to promote the entrepreneurship, the young minds, the millennials who are into new technology, the new dimension from digital technology to AI, mechatronics, all the happening fields which are now intertwined into multidisciplinary fields. The core objective is to generate maximum employment. This is the government's objective, is to see that the unemployment rate is brought down by creating employment. Encourage the people who have the potential to innovate and start their own business, to boost up banking and finance sector, which is a mutual thing where once the industry picks up, the banking sector also will be in a position to lend, and also it is vice versa. Be a job creator than a job seeker. Key points in the Startup India scheme is self-certification. You see, the main objective of creating separate startup was to shield the new industry, new entrepreneurs from the hardships which existed earlier. Which we used earlier, it was called as the license raj, where lot many papers and permissions have to be done, which has been simplified under Startup India, such as 9 environmental and labor law clearances is done through self-certification, tax exemption for a period of 3 consecutive years, and exemption on gains and investments above FMV, startup patent application and IPR protection. You see, before startup, every patent had to go through the regular channelization, but now Startup India has assisted where the new technologies, new innovations, where the patenting has to be done. 80% of the regular fees have been rebated, and it has also been fast-tracked. The IPR, intellectual property rights support, has been extended. Public procurement norms, where this product or a service, it is beneficial to the government organization and also to the other consumers. Exemption from requirement of EMD on government tenders. They can directly be registered under GEM, that is Government E-Marketplace. So these products can be directly purchased from the GM portal. And also, this is the exit portion, easy winding up within 90 days under PMLA of 2016. Government of India has kept 10,000 crores for startup funding pool. And we have spent, as the data shows, around 3,500 crores already in the last 5 years. Encourage the entrepreneurship within the country, promote India across the world, and as I have learned through CMTA also, we want to save all the dollars which are going outside the country for import. We want to save every dollar which is going out of the country as cost for import. We will go to the next slide. The startup ecosystem, here the role of CMTI and other institutions comes into picture. Big companies the startup ecosystem, that is the startup platform, gives access to big companies where they can be mentored, universities which can extend the knowledge part and also research part, and also funding organizations. Government through SIDBI is also extending its financial assistance to the startups, promising startups, and service providers, other research organization and support organization. This in turn covers the major aspects of startup. And next slides will have the data. As I will be showing up, we have already funded, there are 2,34,715 learning and development modules, and 2,90,586 startup hubs throughout the country. Startup recognition till date, government has recognized 15,301 startups. And funding support, we have the government has extended 129 funding for 129 startups. As you can see through the map, the highest number of startups are through Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, UP, Delhi. And you can see that none of the countries left behind. Even the remotest parts of the country have registered startups. The facts and figures, I will go through only 2-3. Maharashtra has the highest number of startups registered, 2,587. Karnataka in the second place with 1,973. Delhi with 1,833. And Uttar Pradesh with 1,129. And the rest states follow. Even you can see at the last, Sikkim, Mizoram, Meghalaya, the northeast, the Seven Sisters, they have registered also a considerable number of startups. Global ranking of Indian startups, as you can see through the slide, that India has 10,000 plus. India is amongst the top 5 countries in the world in terms of startups. US ranks the number 1 on the list with 83,000 startups. You can imagine the gap between though we have started, we have to catch up with the other well-performing nations. Okay, we will go to the next slide. Challenges faced, that is a recent study, Entrepreneur India, by the IBM Institute has found that 90% of the Indian startups fail within the first 5 years. The crucial first 5 years, as Amitabh Srivastava sir told, that failures are incurred at different stages because an idea to materialize into a product or a service, then convincing the investors, the type of investors, that is the family funding, bootstrapping, then angel investors, venture capitalists, and even government in terms of Startup India. So convincing them, bringing those products which are marketable and proper marketing of those products, and also, as Amitav sir told, repetitive rounds of investment so that the company grows from a company at the state level to a national level and international level. So planning, as going says, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So don't leave the details to later. That is minute details. As I was fortunate to hear Amitav sir, because most of these things they are more theoretical, and when it is addressed by stalwarts in the field and people who have the first-hand experience in these startups, it is really it is precious. Then execution, failures in execution, lack of innovation. That is, innovation, it has to be recurrent. That is, it has to be continuous and it has to be perpetual. Funding, lack of mentorship at different stages, and human resource and poor business ethics. Since 2015, as many as 1,503 startups have closed down in India, and the major reason is due to replication of Western business modules and not lack of subsequent funding from the investor. As this was already addressed by Amitabh sir, that is the lack of subsequent funding from the investors. If you are not able to convince the investor, you might have developed one of the best products, one of the best ideas materialized into a product or a service. But if we are not able to convince the investors, then the product will not launch and it will not establish itself. The highest number of failures were in logistics, e-commerce and food technology. Some success stories we will go. Before that, fundraising question, that how much fund should I raise, when should I raise the money, and what stage should I not raise the money, what are the relevant sources of finance, how much equity should I give, how should I give equity when I am able to value my startup, how should I reach out to investors, what is the right structure. All these were already addressed by Amitabh sir, so I need not stress on these aspects. We'll go to the next slide. As I already told, that self-funding is also known as bootstrapping. Crowdfunding is a practice of funding a project or a venture by raising many small amount of money from a large number of people, typically over the internet. Some of the popular crowdfunding sites in India are Indiegogo, Wishberry, Heto and Fundlind. Next is angel investors. Angel investors are individuals with surplus cash and a keen interest to invest in upcoming startups. They can also offer mentoring or advice along with capital. Angel investors have helped many Indian startups such as Unacademy, Crownit, Book Events, Witty Feed. Some of the top angel investors are Mr. Ratan Tata, Rajan Anandan, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Sachin Bansal. Next. Next is the venture capital. Venture capitals are professionals who manage funds, invest in companies that have huge potential to grow. They usually invest in a business against equity and exit when there is an IPO or an acquisition. Some of the well-known venture capitalists in India are Helion Ventures Partners, ASL Partners, Loom Ventures, Nexus Venture Partners. The next is funding from business, incubators and accelerators. Early stage business can consider incubators and accelerator program as a funding option. Almost every major city, these programs assist hundreds of startups business every year. Incubators are like a parent to a child who nurture the business, providing shelter, tools and training and network to a business. Accelerators are more or less the same thing, but an incubator helps, assists, nurtures a business to walk well, and an accelerator helps to run or take a giant leap. Popular names are Amrit Innovative Incubators, Angel Prime, CDIE, IAN Business Incubator, Villagro, Startup Village, and T Labs. The government programs that offer startup, as in the initial we told that Government of India has kept aside 10,000 crore as startup fund in the budget 2014-15, backed by Pradhan Mantri Micro Units Development and Refinance Agency Limited, Mudra, starts with an initial corpus of 20,000 crore to the extent benefit to around 10 lakh SMEs. Raise money through bank loans. These are the ways where funding can be achieved. Some of the success stories I will share, that is Bhavisha Agarwal, who established Ola. Next is Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Paytm, founder of Paytm. The next is Ritesh Agarwal, who has made a different impact in hospitality sector. Next is Deependra Goyal, who is Zomato and Swiggy, as you have known, that no urban area is left out, and during pandemic it was a source of existence for many of them. Albinder Dhinsa, who established Grofers. He was part of Zomato and then he established Grofers. And the next is the market valuation of the companies after they have been successful. You can see that Flipkart is at 1 lakh crores, Ola at 49,000 crores, Snapdeal 45,757 crores, Paytm 70,000 crores, and many of the in the list. So with a small, because the time is also short and startup is such a big topic, and also it is industry specific. So when a specific industry is taken into consideration, then the startup approach will vary from an industry to another industry. So given with the time, I think I could do this much, and you have to excuse me if I gone wrong at some point during my presentation. Thank you very much for giving this valuable time to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for providing ideas about the different fields such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and about Startup India scheme and many other to take up initiatives for startups and to establish profound entrepreneurship.
That's a very well-informed presentation. And I will request if the copy of presentation could be shared among the participants.
Yes, I have shared, sir, and it will be individually emailed to you, sir.
Basically, all the presentations will basically share the link, YouTube link. You can one can download and go through complete proceedings.
And also, what I'll request is, since these informations are very valuable and a lot of startups will be looking for further interaction with Nayak Sahab. So, Nagan Umeya Sahab, also please give the contact details of all the speakers, so that any subsequent guidance required, that could also be taken. And
sure, sir. I am placed in Bangalore and I will be available, sir. Thank you.
So his contact details will be here in chat box. I will type.
Dr. Dibyendu Chowdhury, faculty member of School of Enterprise Management at National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise. He has successful career in high-level scales and business development along with management, education and research. I kindly request you to deliver note on addressing this event, sir.
Madam, thank you, sir. Good morning and Happy New Year to you. It's really great hearing all the eloquent speakers, and also when I was hearing, so I was also thinking that it is the great advantage when you speak at the event. Actually, you have nothing to speak because everybody covered everything. So thank you very much for the opportunity. The director CMTI, all the elegant speakers, the participants, my friends. So I have a couple of points which I thought that on top of all these discussions so far, we can cover. That is, I mean, I couldn't change my slides. So some of the slides I'll be definitely, skipping up. So we talked about the startup, we talked about many other things, but I think one thing we should touch, that we should know actually what is the current definition of MSME. Right now, Government of India, I work for a company, organization, institute. The name is National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise. So we are under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. And there is no distinction in between manufacturing and services. So the revised classification which came out in 2021 March, April, that 1 crore to 5 crore is manufacturing or services is called as micro, and investment is lesser than 1 crore and turnover is lesser than 5 crore. The small is lesser than 10 crore, turnover is lesser than 50 crore, and medium is investment is around lesser than 20 crore and turnover is 100 crore. So by the change definition of micro, small and medium enterprises, basically 80% of the entire Indian industries can be covered. Actually 80% comprised under micro, small and medium enterprises. So there is no distinction in between services and manufacturing. So that's the best part. You can see the previous part where we had distinction, and actually many of the interesting facts are like, many of us, we don't know that we belong to micro, small and medium enterprises. and there are so many government schemes or assistance, or the itself micro, small and medium enterprise ministry itself has a big ecosystem to actually support the entrepreneurs. Because if you go for the business funding, angel investor, or all these situations, it's very tough. And raising fund in the competitive market is always a big task. So government of India, when they are giving the funding or the different supports, we should actually take that help, and we should first play the games within our known ground, and then go for slowly develop our competences and slowly go for the private agencies. So that is one of my observation, which I thought that I'll share over here. Today, we are all talking about disruptive innovation, and my earlier speaker, he talked about Ola, Oyo, where all these are basically disruptive innovations. Disruptive innovation means the way the businesses used to happen. Once that entire idea came in, it will never go back. It is irreversible. So we are not going back to the previous world which was existing without Oyo, Ola, Uber. So this is going to get again further, refined. So all our technical engineers whom we are producing, and I have visited so many colleges and all, they are having so many interesting projects, and they are talking about the business ideas. But as we understand that business ideas are not all about, capable to raise the fund. So in the private world, of course, was we can undergo a kind of, a process. So technology, it can go for the renovation, we can go for the innovation, but ultimately it can go for the disruption. And we are talking about innovation and disruption at this point of time. India is a land of, huge innovation, and we call it as Jugaad innovation. Those innovations are always there everywhere. We are trying to actually bridge the gap, and some new renovation or something we are doing so that the business become very easy to do. Like I made this particular coffee maker in particularly in a Kempegoda village in Karnataka. And this person, he is one of the best seller. He just innovated his coffee machine out of a cooker, which doesn't cost more than 200 rupees, and which is basically equivalent to the espresso machines which we see into the airport or five-star hotels. So that coffee he sells in 5 rupees in that particular mandi, and he can only sell like 2,000 cups in every time. So like at the beginning of the that Monday, he sells his 2,000 cups in 2 hours time. So innovation, we are adapting for our livelihood. We are implementing it, but are we able to, translate these innovations into Indianization, into, intellectual property? These are the things we need to question basically. So harnessing ideas are very important, and we need to look into the scalability, flexibility, and all this. So India, we have to actually talk about the idea, innovate, incubate, because any idea, if we do not incubate, we just get into the next level, like launching a business. That doesn't happen actually. We have understood that. So incubation is very important, and over there the investment comes, angel investors, then all other different kind of investors, they come in the incubators. Every state has an incubator as per their priority. Even Telangana state, we have an incubator which has also unicorn. So we should take those kind of infrastructure help, the processes help, and then only that business has the capability to impact into the market. Some of the speakers, they talk about the Startup India, and this is the entire scheme. My slide is shared over here, so you can always look into the detail of the scheme. I'm not getting into the scheme. basically the government approved around 945 crore to Startup India scheme, and this particular scheme has got also the seed funding. So many of us, we think that we have a great idea, prototyping is doing, but at the same time there is no funding. So maybe we should look into this particular scheme where the seed money is also available, and majority of the IITs, they have this particular funding. So like they in an incubation process, we can get into like how to write the investor pitch, then sign up the term sheet, due diligence. Amitabh Saab was talking about all this. So the more we practice in the ground and we try to convince our national bankers to get the money, because all the money gets routed through different nationalized bank. In that way, most probably that will make us more prepared to face the private venture capitals. So it's not that one day we grow up and we go to the college. So the schooling we need to complete, and most probably these are the platform where government has created the ambience or the facilities where we can do the practice matches. So I'll skip to basically a slide where every state government has priority sectors, and startup priority areas like in Uttarakhand, travel, tourism, food processing, Ayush, education, healthcare, biotechnology, pharmaceutical. This is for the priority sector of the state of Uttarakhand. So similarly, Karnataka, you have your priority sector. Right now, Government of India wants to get into the fab. So we need to understand that where the money is going to come, and are we able to get into the that particular opportunity, because sometimes we do the innovation, but we need to ask that whether that innovation is needed, and whether that innovation is market driven or demand driven. Like I've visited so many clusters, and majority of the clusters, despite of having government funding and support, majority of the clusters, the livelihood are not getting improved. Only one reason, that market linkage is not there. So maybe they are producing, but their technology is outdated, their design is outdated. So those products are not selling into the market. So unless we understand that market pool, then there is no point of innovating the products or services. So it has to be market driven, it has to be demand driven. A lot of opportunities exist for the engineering colleges to establish incubator, or already majority of the colleges are having entrepreneurship cell. So the students who are passing out, they are all looking for the jobs, but there are not much jobs. So we need to promote the idea of entrepreneurship so that they can become the job creator than the job receiver. And government has given a lot of funding in this particular area also. I'll show you there are some of the schemes. This is actually Atal Innovation Mission. This out of this mission, they provide at least 10,000 square feet if any college can give, and on that the infrastructural support goes from for the 5 years 10 crore to cover the capital and operational expenses. And these are the mission which is basically towards the best engineering colleges, where they have the incubator in the name of Atal Innovation Center, so that they incubate themselves slowly while they are studying like third year, fourth year, and then when at the time of getting a job, they can actually be talking about uh, uh, getting some investment into their organization. So we see that any education, at the end of the day, it should be like self-employment or wage employment. Now, government is promoting for the self-employment, and India to achieve $5 trillion economy, majority of us, we have to, we have to promote the self-earning mode. This is the livelihood business incubator, where we have 1 crore for setting up the LBI. NIMSME, we have one livelihood business incubator which had been funded by Government of India, and there for the livelihood, the different technologies, innovations, all these are there. So this grant is also available for different business schools. They can also go for that. So LBI is there. This services within the incubator, training, technology assistance, marketing consultancy, business planning consultancy, providing rental space for the enterprises, shared logistical services, providing venture capital financing. And NIMSME, we have a huge campus. We have around 32 acres right now, and we are basically incubating so many entrepreneurs out here. They are running their own businesses as a co-space, like, so we are helping them, we are handholding them. And in the entrepreneurship and enterprise space, we are there for last 65 years. And we have understood that entrepreneurship is it's not like a one-day event or two-day event. It's a lifelong event. And an entrepreneur requires a mentoring throughout his entire lifespan, because we can talk about like micro, small, and medium in one word, but the nature and their DNA is completely different. Like micro enterprises, their DNA cannot match with the small enterprises. So from, like the entire geography or the, biology has to get changed from micro to, it's a transformation from one space to another space. And all of this we need to undergo different types of training, mentoring on a constant basis to become a successful entrepreneur. This is the scheme which came out, National Innovation and Startup Policy, NISP, for the students for engineering college, and this scheme is available from 2009. This scheme is basically, there are so many projects, engineering projects. Even I am my first education is basically engineering. I did my engineering from SIT Tumkur, and we did some projects in final year, and some of the BTech projects I'm showing over here. How to use plastic and how to reduce the thing. These are the different projects just for the lighter mode. So there is no policy or there is no other way to actually convert these projects into some product. So this is a huge gap. We are taking that particular education, but at the end of the day, we are looking for a job. But that is not the way. The projects which we are doing, maybe there can be a commercialization, there can be some incubator. So, like in the past, maybe 5-6 years back, there was no concept of incubation cell available into the engineering or management colleges. But the young mind are basically coming out with lots of ideas. So if we can harness them through the incubator, we record them, and we try to get into the commercialization. We can try to give the feed of the technology innovation support. Then most probably this entire ecosystem will get richness. So that is where the major role of both NIMSME as well as your organization is having. This is a fact that 25 Indian startups that failed in the last one decade. These companies we actually had been forgotten who were they. So there are so many reasons, top 20 reasons. Ignore customers, no market need. As I said, that it is not demand driven. So it cannot be innovation or the new technology. It cannot be just for the sake of technology or innovation. It has to have some demand into the market. No, not right team. Already Amitabh sir, he talked about it. Poor marketing, ran out of cash. This is again another problem. And all these problems, 20 reasons I have given over here. So you can look into all these problems. So there is a need for intervention actually. National innovation, startup policy, students, faculty, the MTP, all of this we talk, but there is a requirement of the intervention. Higher education doesn't get much patronage to develop the innovation or startup ecosystem compared to the elite institute or universities in India. Nearly 80% of the innovation dies at the early stage while the people are passing through the universities. Out of thousands of projects by students, not even have few become startup due to lack of ecosystem and due to lack of proper handling or maybe the mentoring. To inculcate culture of innovation amongst the students and to provide a conducive environment for the optimum harnessing for the creative pursuit, the startup innovation policy been brought up. So all the national institutes like us, so we should have the incubator, and we should also get into the mentoring part. Like it is not always the commercialization; it is also at the end of the day, it's mentoring. I'll talk about NIMSME. We are our genesis is we have been incorporated in the year 1960 and renamed in the year 1962 and based out of Hyderabad. We have no branches. UNODO recognized our capability and Center of Excellences in 1984. We became NISIET. We got the national status. And after the MSME Act 2006, we became National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises on 11th April 2007. Our purpose is basically training, SSI extension, entrepreneurship development, DCMSME government officials training on entrepreneurship. Different, we have done a milestone project with our ancestors did with Professor David McClelland of Harvard University to execute 4 foundation-aided seminal research on entrepreneurial motivation. That study is known as Kakinada experiment, where they talked about that entrepreneurship is not by born. It can be, entrepreneurs can be trained, and it's a perpetual training. So if a person is trained and he understands the achievement motivation factor, so through that he can actually get promoted to the level of entrepreneurship. So we do a lot of international training, a lot of like 130 to 42 countries participants come every day, every year to get trained about micro, small and medium enterprise and how to harness all this. Training program on small business management, trainers, consultants, tailor-made Asian productivity organizations. So a lot of international training we do, but this is the time when we should actually focus on India and we should train the Indian entrepreneurs also. And we run a lot of short-term programs, long-term programs. We tied up with I'm Trichy, I'm Nagpur, and a couple of entrepreneurship program. Our faculties we teach, and we are also launching a full-time course from this year. We do a lot of research consultancies. So DIC and RIC in the state that had been conceptualized by us in the year 1972, so that there is a, the logistics from the central funds actually reaches to the block level. So that was the thing we have done. Very recently, the COVID impact study we have done on MSME. So throughout our entire, like 65 years of the experience, right now we are into Diamond Jubilee. So we have only worked into the entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. So that is what is our forte. So and all the achievements are into that particular dimension only. So these are the couple of like training programs. How many training programs we have completed? How many research and consultancy? 947 projects and research consultancy we have completed so far. So we have understood actually the entrepreneurship is a continuous journey, and over there are all time there will be 4 hurdles. One is information gap, another will be technology gap, another will be finance gap. This is the biggest gap which actually an entrepreneur see. But these are the 3 gaps, like market, technology, and information. As an entrepreneur, we don't understand, and majority of the time we don't understand that there is a gap of information. So that is the reason in the year 1962 we had been, incorporated by the government of India, so that any point of time they feel that there is a information gap, they should come and understand that there are different schemes. So I'll be talking about different schemes in coming slides. But here, one good news is there that our organization and your organization, we are talking, and like we are creating a new course for the techpreneurs, and which will be launching in this year. That will be on diploma on innovation management, where it will be not only stressing into the technology, where our entrepreneurship knowledge that will be also combined to make an entrepreneur to get into the market. So that is very important. It is not that how great is the technology or how great is the like the management style, but it has to have a combination of all. So we thought that there is a requirement of creating such a course with CMTI jointly. And target audience will be, of course, engineers who want to envisage into the enterprise indigenous technology area, which is the CMTI forte. Session will start from June, July. It will be on hybrid mode. Labs will be in MCIT Bangalore and CMTI Bangalore, and online sessions theory part will be on a hybrid mode. Benefits incubation for the potential candidates. So incubator will be working. So as long as this 1 year they will be undergoing this particular diploma course, they will be also incubated within, and it will be chosen through the exam, because as this is a unique course in India and such course has not been designed anywhere. So we'll be going through some quality assertiveness so that the people who are really interested, they will come and join in this course. So it's a qualitative selection we'll be doing. This is the ecosystem which I wanted to talk with you. Like MSME, Ministry of MSME is a large ministry, and over there are several departments, there are several divisions, and everybody has got different schemes which they are running. Like MOMSME, they are having different policies. PMEGP scheme, emergency credit. This emergency credit line, it came very recently during COVID second phase 2021, when we have understood that there is a requirement for immediate fund for survival part for the MSMEs. It is very tough for them to survive, and also a lot of statutory money, just like you have seen, like this tax part, we have also extended. The last date was 31st December. So that had been extended because of this particular crisis. So all these policy related decision MOMSME takes. DCMSME, this is another department, that is Development Commissioner of MSME. There are credit guarantee scheme, like we can get the PMEGP, that is a flagship scheme which is under KVIC. KVIC is also one of our department, that is Khadi Village Industries Commission. So KVIC scheme comes under, PMEGP comes under KVIC. Now, suppose I am an entrepreneur, I can get around 20 lakhs to 20 crore out of that particular funding. But the CGT MSC credit guarantee scheme, this particular scheme, if this is plugged in with this PMGP, I really don't have to pay the guarantee money. So all these schemes are having different ways of, at different stages we can avail. So CDP is a cluster development program. Then IPR is the entrepreneur, we give them the money for the registration of the patent, as well as the defendable some intellectual property. Market development assistance is also there. Then similar to ISO, we also give the Z certification. Z is zero defect, zero effect, and that is having 1, 2, 3, same like Bharat stage 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is all these schemes are having subsidy, or the money reimbursement, and all these things are there. In the state level, MSME DI, our MSME DIs are the MSME development institutes. They are working under DCMSME. So every state capital, we have one particular institute, that is development institute. They do the cluster development program, CGT, MSME, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship cell they have. So if I am going and asking for any help, they do it free of cost. A lot of training happens into MSME DI. A lot of engineers are sitting there, so they have the sectoral expertise. So we can always go and ask for it. MSME DI in Bangalore, I have traveled a couple of times with international participants, and it has got so many big centers on chemical science and all this. So you can always go and get into different help. As an entrepreneur, you may require the raw material. So raw material is actually being held by NSIC. That's one of the organization. We have our sister concern, choir board, choir related, all the schemes are there under the choir board. tool rooms are also there, which gives the technical assistance and facilitation. CDB is also under MoMSME, and that's Industrial Development Bank. The Mudra loan already we talked about. The loan we can get from 5 lakhs to 20 lakhs into the service segment, we can get it. And State Department, you have DICs, Labor Department, Horticulture Department, Fisheries Department, MSME Department. So we have a great ecosystem right now in India, or maybe it was existing, but it was not yielding that kind of support system. But as an entrepreneur, we should know that what are the places which can give me support. So it is not you, it is also government. We are taking the entire responsibility to get you into as a successful entrepreneur. So much ecosystem is there to actually support you. Yes, sometimes they say that micro enterprises, they don't get loans, but I think the getting a loan, the banks will understand that how to you need to give the DPR. Now DPR is a detailed project report, so an entrepreneur, they need to know, they need to learn how to prepare a DPR, or what kind of project they need to bring in front of the banker so that they will fund that particular project. Because in that kind of scenario, this funding agency or the venture capital is a nationalized bank, so it is not our right to get the money just like that. If I don't have the bank, the bank credit history clear, if I don't have business transactions with the bank, then from the year nobody, even no venture capital will give you any money. So if National Bank is not giving you money, that means there are some problems which are needed to be fixed. If those problems stays, even your private equity partner or private venture capital will also not give you the money. So I think this is the best place where you need to test your capability to raise the fund. Right now, to promote the Stand-Up India ecosystem, RCETI is there into the Rural Self-Employment Training Institute. Vocational training centers are there. From there also the people can come. MSME Development Institutes, I said, MSME DI. State SCST Development Financial Corporations are also there. District Industry Center, DIC. Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce. Skilling centers, women entrepreneurship associations, all these are there. So they are connected with the SIDBI or the NABARD. If it is farm projects will go through NABARD, or if it is not it's non-farm ideas or the projects, that will go through SIDBI or DIC or KVIC. Anywhere it can go to the lead district manager, and that's how it goes to different banks. So the banks will be choosing that which project to fund or which not to fund. So it's a facility SIDBI created. There is a scheme called Udyog Mitra. So through that particular scheme, you can put your project report, but there will be 14 bankers. They will be evaluating your project report. If they like it, they'll give you the funding. No interaction, no personal interaction with the bank. You don't have to really go. All the paperwork has to be uploaded into website. So at the end, I'll say that nothing is impossible. The world itself says I'm possible, and that is what we believe from NIMSME. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak over here in this August gathering.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving awareness about the opportunities in startups, the funding bodies, and a note to become entrepreneurs than job seekers.
We don't have next speaker because of health issues. She could not join. This break, actually, we have two our former colleagues, Sri Satish Kumar and Dr. Balashanmugam, who happens to be our business advisory group members. I will request both of them to maybe kindly share your thoughts in as minimum as possible. So please.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. Respected Dr. Tyagi sir, Director CMTA, Dr. Naga Hanumaya, distinguished speakers, delegates, and my former colleagues. I would like to share a couple of things. I will not take more than 3 minutes, I hope. The topic, advanced machines and process technology, is very much relevant to machine tool industries. I am representing machine tool industry, IMTMA, Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association. So from that perspective, I'd like to say a few things regarding how we can synergize CMTI and machine tool industry needs. So this is my basic theme here. The current scenario is CMTI takes up industry-led projects like development contract projects, one-on-one projects, sponsored projects, and difficult to do one-off. They will take and they will complete. But what I would like to suggest is we have to move from one specific project or one organization to products for one to many and many to many. So this is the need of Atmanirbhar. So that is expected from machine tool industry. How we can bring value to whatever developments and many of the technologies that has been already developed by CMTA. How we can collaborate, how we can make matchmaking we can make, and then industry led, how we can move to industry led. So we have listed out what are the industry needs as a shelf of technologies to be developed, and we have I can circulate that to CMTI so that they can look at it. And these are the projects that are very much required immediately. For example, I would like to mention few things like we have in the shelf of technologies ball screws listed, which is currently required. If you say 60,000 ball screws are required every year, so it is not going to come down anyway. It's going to shoot up. So if we can develop a ball screw, if we can develop a control system on our own drives, ball screws, industry also has contributed its own, and then they're also doing research, and they have come to a level wherein and we are under testing control system, drives, etc. So, but CMTA being CMTA, they can always validate the developments so that we can make it a product which can be globally competitive and cost competitive. So this is the expectation that huge expectation that machine tool industry is having, and the trust they have, the confidence they have. And then if it can be done, then we can bring synergy. And other technologies I would like to mention, like laser technology. We don't have we have the machines, but we don't have the laser. And we cannot approach, like there may be CAT indoor, there may be other agencies, government agencies, they have the technology, and instead of machine tool industry approaching them, I request CMTA to approach. If they can approach CAT indoor, and then if they can make laser heads of, let us say, 100 watts to 5 kilowatt, then we have the basic machine tool structure available, so which can easily be configured. And we noticed that hundreds of crores of foreign outgo is there every month. So because we are dependent on the core technology, which is a laser there. So these things are the expectations from industry, and would like to come and speak to as well. And the most important third point, I would like to mention that so we have to be globally competitive, because the industry, they need to sell. So until and unless products that we make are globally competitive, not only like cost-wise also competitive, but technology-wise also competitive. The speed at which we deliver is very, very important. We have 100% trust about the competitiveness and the ability of CMTA. But how many projects we can have? Manpower. Do we have manpower is one question. Always industry is also asking us. So I think if this is addressed, and if some synergy is built, I think as Tyagi sir was mentioning in his opening remarks, A and B we can take head on, and CMTA can front end this as far as machine tool industry is concerned. With this few words and thanking Dr. Naganamaya, director, for giving the IMTM an opportunity and me an opportunity. Thank you. We'd like to looking forward to get associated with the CMTA in developing products. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I request Dr. Bala Shanmugam, another former colleague, and he is also member of Business Advisory Group.
Good afternoon to respected Dr. Tyagi sir, Professor Ramesh Babu, Director CMTA, and all others. First of all, my hearty congratulations to CMTA for launching industry affiliate program. That's up to the CMTI team. I wish to see at least 20 industries get affiliated to CMTA by next year. Affiliation is a win-win for both industries and CMTI. Industries get benefit in terms of priority and sales. CMT is instead of sustenance of income. CMT is a technology provider all along. Wish to see it as an incubator too. Wishing all the best to team CMTI. Thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you. So, because you know CMT very well, so definitely we will reach out to you for the basic support as well as the guidance. Now we will move to the next speaker. I will hand over to Nisarga.
Shri N.G. Lakshmi Narayan, Chief of Business Development, National Research Development Corporation. He has established Insect Pathology Laboratory, initiated commercialization of technologies developed by Central Silk Board Associated Laboratories. He has concluded about 160 technology transfer license agreements in various sectors at NRDC. I request you to kindly deliver your talk for today, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Please
Dr.
put it in
Tyagi sir, Dr. Naganmay sir, participants, I would like to briefly give you the insight of what we do at NRDC. As a service company, we are a technology transfer company in the Ministry of Science and Technology. So the contents of my presentation are as follows: introduction and all the other aspects. I'll quickly go through the slides. Briefly telling about what NRDC is. NRDC was established in the year 1953 as a Section 25 company, basically to transfer technologies that were emanating from the CSR labs. Earlier, the objective of NRDC was to transfer technologies that were developed only in the CSR labs. Subsequently, we started working with the other R&D labs across the country, as well as with individual innovators. And our founders are Jawaharlal Nehru, our former Prime Minister, and Sri Bhatnagar sir. And we are under the administrative control of Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, the Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. The main objective of NRDC is to promote, develop, and commercialize technologies that are coming up from the R&D institutions across the country. Our vision is to be a leading technology transfer organization and to seamlessly work with the network of all the innovation stakeholders. And our mission is to nurture, develop, promote, and commercialize technologies and provide value addition to the technologies which are developed in the labs. Our main activities are in two more forms. One is the business activities and the other is the promotional activities. And as a business activity, we are actually transferring technologies from where we actually earn our bread and butter. And we handhold our licensees so that they become successful. And we provide need-based consultancy to several organizations in the country. And the promotional activities are to carry out business development, technology development, as well as provide facilitate the R&D institutions in filing their IPRs and other activities. In the business development activities, in detail, we are transferring technologies, commercializing, and we also provide consultancy on filing IPRs in the country as well as outside the country. We are also handling IOCL project wherein the innovation fund of the IOCL is being managed by NRDC. And we also have the ASEAN portal wherein we list out all the technologies that are available in the ASEAN countries on a single platform so that it becomes available for the industries to source technologies from the various sources of technologies of all the ASEAN countries. And we also export technologies and technical services which are very successful in the country and which have been implemented in the country, we export those technologies to outside the country also. And we are also involved in the startup activity of the recognition of startups. Our previous speakers have been telling us that there are recognition of startups which is being done. So NRDC is also one of the agencies which has been nominated by the Ministry of Industry for doing the assessment of startups, for giving the recognition for startups, for them to realize benefits of the government of India. And we are also in the business of incubation. We have an in-house business incubator, and we are also tying up with R&D institutions to manage their incubation centers in the country. And we also do a collection of royalties on behalf of DSIR, wherein we have a certain stake of money that DSIR provides us as a token of collection of royalties. This is a broad objective, broad operational model of NRDC. On the left, you see the sources of our technologies. Labs, could be universities, corporate R&D, individuals, NGOs. All these are our sources of technologies. And in between, you see the kind of value addition that NRDC provides. The techno-commercial evaluation, technology development happening through various fundings that is provided by the NRDC. We carry out market survey. We file IPs. We also help the individual innovators or the scientists to prepare know-how document, and we also do market intelligence gathering of in terms of technologies. And there is also value addition in terms of basic engineering design that we carry out. We provide consultancy services. We prepare feasibility reports. We give a lot of publicity to technologies by participating in various exhibitions and other events. We also export technologies outside the country. So on the right, you see the users of our technology. Our main sources of technologies are the CSIR, DRDO, ICMR, ICR, and a few public sector undertakings also. And we have been tying up with all the major R&D institutions across the country under the various ministries. And we have been sourcing technologies from all these, even individuals also we source technologies. And we do we carry out the due diligence of the technologies, and then we offer it to the public for acquisition. These are in broad the kind of the network that we have. Most of the technologies that we have been sourcing is from the CSR laboratories. Transfer of technology, as I was telling you that we do a lot of due diligence in the acquisition of technology. And once the acquisition is done by through an assignment deed, we do carry out the value additions that we do through the various business models that I was just speaking about. And then we offer these technologies to the R&D institutions. And as of now, we have over 5,000 technology license agreements concluded, having NRDC having more than 6.5 decades of experience in working with the R&D institutions and academic institutions. These are broad areas of our technology sectors in which we are handling technologies. You name the sector, probably we are in almost all sectors except probably software we don't handle. Otherwise, we are handling almost all industry sectors technologies. And these are the sector-wise licensing of technologies. Engineering has been the highest, being our major source of our breadwinning through engineering technologies. Of course, of late, we have been licensing technologies in the area of agriculture, biotechnology, food, and chemical also. And we have been exporting technologies, as I was telling you, successful technologies that have been proven in the country. We have been taking these technologies outside the country also. So we have transferred technologies to several countries in the past. and it is an ongoing process. So we have been doing with our major presence in being in the African countries, where we are transferring technologies on a turnkey basis to several African countries. This is one of the places where we have established a training cum demonstration center in Ivory Coast, wherein we have taken the technology from India to this particular place where the center was established, and we NRDC has run the center for almost 1 year and trained local youths in the center, and then it was handed over to the government of Ivory Coast, and we had returned. And this entire exercise was sponsored by the Ministry of External Affairs for and the fund was provided by Ministry of External Affairs. And this has been a very successful model. Based on this successful model, several African countries have been approaching us for replicating this particular activity in their countries. And we have also carried out another experimental project in Ghana, wherein we had exported the technology or package of practices for tomato, including the cultivars from the country. We had tied up with the CSR of Ghana for carrying out this particular project, wherein we established a full-fledged research project and demonstrated the technology of tomato cultivation in Ghana. And this was also sponsored by the Ministry of External Affairs, and it has been recently concluded a project of NRDC. As I was telling, we also have an in-house incubation center, and we have incubated several companies in our incubation center. Some of them are physically incubated, and some of them are virtually incubated. We have about 25 companies who have been incubated in the premises. And recently, we have also tied up with the IIMT of CSR in Bhubaneswar for managing their incubation center. And recently, we launched Mac 33 Aero in NAL campus of Bangalore. This has been a joint project of NAL, NRDC, as well as Social Alpha of the Tata Trust, wherein we will be providing the incubation facility for the aerospace industry sectors and allied engineering sectors for promoting them and nurturing them. And NAL would be providing all the support in terms of the physical infrastructure that is required for the startups to take forward their technologies. As I was telling, we also have this promotional activity of the Government of India, wherein we there are two schemes, PIII, PDTC, program for inspiring innovators and inventors, and program for development of technologies for commercialization. These are the two schemes that are being operated in the NRDC, and the funding is being provided by the Government of India for different activities. And the funding schemes are, there is a technology commercialization support, TCS, wherein we provide a fund of up to 2 lakhs for taking forward a prototype, or for taking up trials in those areas where they require for taking the feedback of the consumers, so that they can get a better feedback and take forward their technologies. And there is also another project, priority projects, wherein we fund up to 10 lakhs. And in both these schemes, the condition is that the technology needs to be assigned to NRDC for further commercialization after the development of the technology. And value addition of technologies, we do carry out feasibility report and basic engineering design, market survey, socio-economic impact assessment of technologies that have been licensed by NRDC, and also detailed project report. These are activities which we outsource. It is not done in-house. We basically define the scope of work of each of these activities, and we get the reports done from empaneled market consulting companies. And we also are providing support for IP filing for individual innovators as well as for scientists who are working in different R&D institutions. We also have a funding scheme of a seed funding wherein we provide an equity against equity money of 30 lakhs, which can be availed by the startup companies in the country. And there is another scheme recently launched, TDVC, wherein we provide support of up to 1 crore to startups, MSMEs, and incubators that are located in the government incubators. And we do have a publication division in our NRDC. I'll be giving details about them. These are the two funding schemes in a little bit in detail. TDVC, we fund up to 1 crore, and the beneficiaries could be startups, MSMEs, and the government funded incubators. Companies located in the government funded incubators. And these are the list of thrust areas in which we have identified for support. And this has been ongoing project, and the last date for submission of the proposals online is 15th of there is another funding scheme of seed funding wherein we promote we provide equity participation of up to 30 lakhs. This is also getting concluded on 15th of January. The startups who are interested in applying may kindly apply and see the guidelines in our website and take benefit of these schemes. We have a publication division. We publish a magazine in Hindi called Avishkar, which is a Hindi magazine, and Invention Intelligence in English, which is a bi-monthly magazine. We have been operating this magazines for quite some time. The Avishkar was started in 1971, and Invention Intelligence started in 1965. We basically promote the new developments in science and technology. The articles are very informative on the latest trends that are happening in the science and technology in the country. So these are our latest, some of our latest versions of our Avishkar magazine and Invention Intelligence. Sometimes the Invention Intelligence and Avishkar magazine, we bring out on a theme-based aspects. So we cover a lot of articles in these magazines on a theme-based. So last time it was on a hydrogen mission for in the Invention Intelligence published. Some of our strengths. So we are headquartered in New Delhi, and we have an outreach office in Visakhapatnam and Guwahati. We have been licensing technologies in all industrial manufacturing sectors, both processes as well as products. Licensing technologies, we have a big range, very low to very high, very simple to very complicated technologies. And we provide post-licensing support, value addition to technologies. We do have technologies with low investment, high impact, strong linkage with academic institutions, MSMEs and R&D, and a very large industrial client. We do value addition to lab scale technologies. Some of the best SOPs for IP protection and prosecution services have been established by NRDC. We are a debt-free company, and we have been a self-sustaining corporation with no non-planned budget support from the Government of India. Our achievements, we have concluded more than technology transfer license agreements, and some of the recently licensed technologies is a remote operated vehicle, which was transferred to a few companies in the country at a cost of about 50 lakhs. And Ayush 82, Ayush 64, these are some of the technologies we recently licensed in a large number because the COVID situation, the Government of India had given a directive that in mild COVID cases, the Ayush 64 and Ayush 82 are good for prevention of the COVID disease. So this technology has been licensed in huge number since the COVID situation has arisen, and we have been licensing technologies in the silk board. There is Vijayta, it is a silkworm bed disinfectant, and cold road laying technology of Central Road Research Institute of New Delhi, and a lot of PPE kits. As of now, we have licensed to several companies because of the demand in this sector. Earlier, PPE kits used to be imported from the other countries, especially China, and now our country has been quite matured enough to prepare PPE kits, and the technology that has been transferred is a breathable PPE kit, which has been developed by the Navy Institute and transferred to the industries, and they are making a lot of PPE kits in the country. We have recently signed a MOU with the DGQA of Ministry of Defense for setting up of their IPFC, that is Intellectual Property Facilitation Center. Then we have been implementing the ASEAN project that I was telling you. And we have also implemented several projects of the Ministry of External Affairs. And direct wealth created is about more than 3,000 crores and employment generation of more than 2 lakh employees employment for the last 10 years out of licensing of NRDC technologies. And in continuation, we do have a integrated Startup India action plan with the DPIIT. We have been processing more than 1,000 startup applications every month for giving startup recognitions for the startups in the country. And we have been nominated by the Indian Oil Corporation, as I was telling earlier, for managing their innovation fund. In the first phase, we had about 11 startups which had been identified. And in the second phase, we had about 12 startups. And now there is already a screening of the startup companies for the third tranche. And we have been preparing innovation code module for the school children, the Startup India action plan for Ministry of Education. These are some of our partners. You could name the R&D institution. We are almost associated with the majority of the R&D institutions in the country. Clients to whom we have either licensed technologies, or we have been providing services for filing their IPRs or any other consultancy activities that we have been doing. Some of our major technologies commercialized in the agro and food processing. We have Invert Sugar Syrup that was developed by BARC in Mumbai. And Amul Baby Food, it has been a star product of the CFTRI, which was licensed long ago, maybe around 50 years ago. And it was a very popular product those days. And we had licensed it way back in 1950, 56 or 57. And it has taken off very well. And we have licensed Rice's particle board, which has been developed by your neighbor R&D institution, IPRIT. And of course, as I was telling you, sericulture, we have a big presence. Central Silk Board has been associated with this for the past 30 years or so. And almost all technologies that are developed by the Central Silk Board associated laboratories that are located across the country, we have been filing their IPRs as well as commercializing their technologies. And it is a huge success of all these labs. And CSRNTA Mysore being one of the primary source of technologies. We have licensed almost around 50 technologies from this particular lab in the sericulture area. Engineering sectors, we had licensed 10 HP and 20 HP tractors, and indelible ink, water filter candles, mini climbing crane, and many such technologies we have been licensing. Chemical and allied, we have licensed the extraction of azadirachtin from neem seeds. This has been licensed to almost around 8 companies in the country. sodium azide glycol-based antifreeze coolant, which was developed by the DRDO, potassium humate, which has been developed by Nivali Lignite Corporation. Then zeolite A is another product out of the CMCRI Bhavnagar of CSR laboratory. Then super absorbent hydrogel, which was developed by IRI in New Delhi. And of course, we do have an association with the Car Research Institution, Car Board, under whom we have been licensing technologies in the area of PIT+, Cocolon, microfiber extraction, and many more technologies. And in life sciences, we have licensed technology, Heartwall to TTK Pharma, and several animal vaccines that have been developed by the ICR system of laboratories, and liposomal amphotericin B, and many such technologies. We do have a good number of licenses in the herbal and Ayurvedic sector of technologies. So Ayush 82 and as Ayush 64, I was telling you, have been licensed in a huge number in the recent past. And anti-arthritis herbal ointment, which has been developed by the Jorhat Institution, NIST Jorhat. Spirulina algae, which is a diet supplement, which has also been licensed to Paris Agro. In broad nutshell, these are our activities of the NRDC. We do have expertise in techno-commercial evaluation of the technologies. We do have a good IP portfolio management activity, technology royalty collection and benefit sharing, basic engineering design package, market study, feasibility studies, and we have a good partnership with the wide industrial client in the country, and with strong R&D linkages with several R&D labs as well as individual innovators. And we do have a very flexible business model for licensing of technologies to entrepreneurs and MSMEs. And achievements are, we have concluded more than 5,000 license agreements and turnkey jobs established outside the country. We have a strong IP licensing regime in the corporation, and we do development of technologies and facilitating and managing them. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Over to the organizers.
Thank you very much, sir, for explaining the business activities, source of technologies, and about transfer of technologies by NRDC. Going forward, we have few of our guests representing startups who will be sharing their experiences in establishing and running their startups. Shri Gokul N.A., founder and CTO Cybernetics Laboratories, who is in search of a universal solution to the elusive problem of vision for robotic object manipulation. I request you to brief your experience considering the time constraints, sir.
Sure, ma'am. So I just want to check quickly if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So it's lunchtime and we are very close to the closing. So I'll try to keep it as short as possible about our organization, what we do. So we try to build the object intelligence for robots by giving some visual capability for the robotic arms today, which are largely static and pre-programmed, to be more dynamic about operating objects. When we are giving some objects, they should be able to handle them and operate on top of them. So that's the key focus of what we are building as a technology. So we identify ourselves at a foundational technology layer, more rather than from the application layer of the organization. Right? So to just give a gist about where we come from and what has been our journey and how did we arrive at this problem. So me and my partner Nikhil, both of us began our career in National Instruments in 2011. All of us joined the same team, and then we evolved into separate roles. Nikhil moved on to become key account manager, where he was handling Honeywell, Bosch, Intel, and GE, and he had $1.5 million of sales target every year. And I was specializing into vision and machine vision specifically, which is a portfolio that NI had. And there was a strong problem. Vision, typically as a technology, or anyone who has interfaced with vision as a technology would actually realize If we have 10 problems, only 3 of them commercially succeed. 7 of them kind of tend to be really bad to use this as a technology to solve. And when we looked deeply and closely into it, what was causing the issue and what are the kind of problems where it's succeeding and what are the kind of problems it's failing when we have this vision as a fundamental technology. Most of the cases, whenever we are inspecting objects, where we have to identify the objects based on the color or some color combinations or patterns that formed out of the color, it works pretty much well, including our innovations in ML today. But the moment it has to happen for object manipulation, let's say I have to tilt an object a little bit to understand it, or I have to grab an object, I start manipulating the object, that's where it is actually failing. And vision assisting those applications were failing. Often that's attributed towards the mechanical aspects of it, where we think the robotic arm is not sophisticated enough, we think the grasping is not sophisticated enough, but often it's the ability for the system which is guiding it to be able to sense and then say what about the object that it is supposed to understand. So we quickly came up with some approaches in architectures, understanding that it's a very vast field and it's been narrowed down to just identification as a problem. So we got out of National Instruments in 2015 and started consulting for and picking the applications to validate our approach. And we picked only the applications where people have already attempted with vision and they have failed to solve it. So every problem that we have picked have remained unsolved probably for 3 to 5 years before that. So, and we had 30 different systems that we were able to successfully solve in such ways with 100% success rate. And that's when we moved on to start productizing it in 2019 August by raising a seed fund with some of our investors at that point. So to jump quickly to the problem that we face, if you just look at the screen now and if you just look at this, the amount of revolution that has happened when it comes to data processing that the laptop has brought or your mobile phone as a device has brought, right? That it has eliminated so many of variety of data processing that we used to do into just one single unit. We had so many devices, so many systems around it. But that kind of revolution that we see for data processing hasn't happened for object processing. So what do I mean by object processing? You look at anything that is today, including the air that I'm breathing right now, which comes out of an AC, has all been manufactured out of a factory, right? From the foot to the shirt to everything, right? But the moment it comes to discrete manufacturing or putting together parts together, it often automation suddenly becomes so complicated. You're just looking at this picture where you have multiple playstations that are being automated in their assembly station, right? We recognize the PlayStation, but we also see so much of complicated, custom designed engineering that has gone into it, all for a simple task of flipping the PlayStation from a horizontal to a vertical position for whatever the dimensions it actually has, and that to be presented to a robotic arm that is there in this corner. Today, the state of automation is, or application of robotic arm for object manipulation is solely dependent upon how well am I able to present the object to it, right? So if I'm incapable of presenting the object in an arrested fashion, then the robotic arm cannot repeat its pre-programmed path the same way to start manipulating the objects, right? So this is a plaguing problem, and if we have to again analyze what is so hard about this problem, typically it's a combination of picking, orienting, and placing that we do, whether it's an object assembly that we do, object inspection that we do, or an object tending that we might do, right? So part presenting or part tending, CNC machines and these setups, or you're picking and inspecting the object, or you're assembling two parts together, OEM assembly or any of these sectors. But when we go about automating this, in every scenario, we might see a robotic arm. This is one part tending solution from TVS probably. Behind the scenes, what actually happens is, even to bring them to a semi-structured fashion, you need a human being. Wherever the robotic arms are successfully deployed today, still there is a human involvement to bring that object to a semi-structured state so the robotic arm can start handling it, right? This typically costs a lot of effort and rigidity in design, and this infrastructure, this automated production line as an infrastructure, limiting the design on the product and how quickly can I evolve the product design. That also is a huge cost that's often not noticed. And that also is pretty much represented in the way the robotic arm industry is today. You have 31% of the $48 billion market representing only robotic arms. The remaining, which is $16 billion, remaining $32 billion is for all the accessories that goes around the robotic arm to make it work, from the grippers to all the conveying systems, to sensors that comes to the cables, And all of it, if you think about, there are 30 plus different vendors will have to come together to make a robotic arm successful. It takes more than 9 to 15 months for the first system to be built, sometimes even longer. There are 4 to 5 year old projects that are still happening. And on an average, it takes $85 to $150,000. In India, and US goes above $150 to $250,000. And the worst part of all this is, if my object changes even by a small orientation or its dimension changes by a small value, instead of 1 mm, it has become, instead of 10 mm thickness, let's say it has become probably 9.5 mm thickness. There's a huge amount of variation and the infrastructure change that it incurs as a cost. Typically, another reason why when it comes to electronics assembly, not PCB assembly, but electronic goods assembly, like your Dell laptops or mobile phones or any of these sectors beyond automotive for the case, robotic arms are absorbed in, or automation in itself is absorbed in a very low quantity. Simply because by the time I finish this 15 months of setting up my line, my product has already evolved. My product has already changed. This could simply change if I'm able to remove the rigidity of the robotic arm and allow the robotic arm to dynamically move, dynamically manipulate, understand the object in real time, and then start manipulating it, right? And that real timeness typically, even for a human being, comes through the vision as an aspect, and that portion of the vision is what we are constructing, which could transform this industry and can relieve the design away from automation and can be that one singular system or try to be that. I mean, today it is not even what we have built, but it will evolve, or it will be the genesis, the transistor for your CPU, right? That it could be that it can minimize the amount of customization that is needed and start generalizing step by step towards handling a lot of different objects. But the activity of putting a camera on top of a robotic arm is not something new. People have been attempting this for past 40 years, probably past 40 years. And every advent of AI, we had 3 advents of AI. One happened in 1960s, another happened in 80s. Now we are having the next advent of machine learning and AI that's happening. And all 3 advent of AI, it started with trying to automate robotic arms to do these things and ended with not being able to do it, and they died, right? So we also are facing the similar scenario. In all of these cases, we have off-the-shelf bought cameras and 3D vision systems, which are constructing 3D depth during very different mechanisms, and they give a very sparse depth, and they are able to make the robotic arms handle very simple symmetrical objects, which are otherwise can be handled with an vibratory ball feeder. You single them out, pick them, and then you're just dropping. You can't assemble a car by throwing parts at each other. You need to move them in tandem, start assembling those parts, right? So something had to be a little different from the way the vision happens and has to happen. So typically what we have is we have the camera, we have millions of images that we'll collect, we'll feed it to an ML system, we'll keep training them, and using the training, it will start going about inferencing. It will say, hey, I have recognized the object in the whole, I have recognized the color pattern of the object in this whole scene, and I'll give you an XYZ coordinates to my machine, and that should be able to, and whether it's a robotic arm or a car, it should be able to go manipulate the object, right? As in the programmed fashion, whatever that's supposed to be. But if I give you a coin, all this, in fact, all this insists the fact that you need to know the object before you can handle, right? But I'm showing the video. Let's say this is a mouse that you have never seen before. I just give it your hand without any effort. You will just be able to grab it. And the next thing that you do after grabbing is you start tilting and then start looking at it, right? Why are we tilting and looking at it? Because you want to collect visual information, which means you didn't have the information about the object, yet you are able to go handle it, right? So this ability to dynamically acquire information, dynamically manipulate the information, and then manipulation preceding your vision is the key. And the second part is that we have limited all the vision to just color-based recognition and depth-based recognition. There are so many more layers in vision beyond this, right? So we call them as event imaging. For example, the 4th layer of your eye first senses motion. Your vision, your color-based integration of the whole scene comes at a much later stage, right? So these are the factors that that typical vision systems lack today, and most of your cameras are built on that basis, right? So this is something that we are building, and then we are saying that knowing an object is not just on the color and location basis, but you have to know several other parameters that the vision system should be able to acquire and then start processing them together, from the shape to rigidity to size. And Worst of all is that if I ask this mobile phone and this mouse, which are of the same color, if I ask them, are they both same? You will say no, because their shapes are different, right? But even a single object, if I start tilting and orienting, in every angle, it shows different shapes, right? And our object actually is infinite number of objects put together. How would an ML system be able to start stitching them together? On what basis will they be able to put them all together, right? And this cannot happen at the data layer. It has to happen at the physical hardware layer itself, and how it's able to work in tandem with each other. We often confuse between sight and vision. Sight is what your eye or your camera can give, but vision happens only when it overlaps with all the other augmenting sense that we have, right? So the ability to sit on top of manipulation is what gives the object intelligence to the vision system, and that's the key portion that we are actually building. Just to give a small demo of one of the features that we are building, or one of the capability that we are building, for you to before I conclude, is this is one lab video. So in this corner, top left, you are seeing the actual video of what's actually happening. This is what the camera actually sees, and this is what the brain or the intelligence behind it actually is seeing. None of the objects that the robot is actually tracking or trying to grab is something that is being pre-trained. The robot is seeing this for the first time. The camera and the vision system is seeing for the first time. It is able to go and grab them. So without any pre-training in any of this, right? So this is the only way by which you can make it lighting agnostic, varying lighting changes and whatever that might actually happen. And it's the same system which can handle this object at any location and any orientation, even a mirror finished spoon without crushing it, a post-it note without crushing it. It understands where I'm actually giving and what thickness am I giving, what is the force that I'm supposed to give it to, that all dynamically, even without having pre-trained the object for the object, right? So this whole way of non-programmed dynamic handling of these objects is something that we are building. And fundamentally, I was also talking about how the system is capable of highlighting and extracting motion, and that's the first thing by which you start connecting all of these parts together. In fact, the places where most of our vision algorithms die typically are when there are mirror finished and metallic objects that come, right? So when I have reflections, then mirror doesn't have color, right? So when metallic reflections are happening, then how do I actually segregate them and start handling those objects, right? In spite of this being this mirror finished, this robotic arm is able to extract without any effort. If I ask a human being to start drawing the border of where the object is, it becomes very hard for us in this corner. Yet the system effortlessly extracts it whenever the motion actually happens, right? So if the motion doesn't happen, then it might stop. But when the motion happens, it's able to highlight and stitch these information together. It also understands the force each of these contours have, and what is the weight if I'm grabbing in the corner, or if I'm grabbing in the top portion of it, or in the middle of it, right? And all of these features the system is able to learn dynamically. And we are now closing another round of funding. You will have the information about it coming out in the next month. So we will have we are closing a round of $4.5 million, and we will be expanding our operations and the facility of our lab. Oh, I'm not able to control. So that's it mostly from us, and we have some of our customer engagements that's actively happening now. We also have an OEM agreement with Ace Micromatic Group, which is again a company that originated out of CMTI, and we have some active ongoing pilots and happening with TVS, Sansera, and Mahindra on all of these different, and Kumi, and all of these different activities. So we are based out of Bangalore, here in HSR layout, and this is a peek into our lab. You are welcome. Anyone is welcome to visit our lab anytime, and we'll be happy to host and then show you what we are building and what interesting journey that we are having. So back to the panel. Thanks for the opportunity. Hope if any questions are there, I'm open to answering it. So I'll pass for the moment.
It was a delight to know about your success story of implementing vision to robotics, object processing, and manipulation. Thank you very much, sir. Now we have Shri Vinay Krishna C, founder TechSource Solutions, Bangalore. He has worked on sales and services in wide varieties of industries like automotive, defense, space, textiles, and others. I kindly request you to deliver the talk, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Vinay Krishna from TechSource Solutions, Bangalore, and I'm the founder of TechSource Solutions. So, firstly, I would like to thank CMTI Director Sir Naga Hanumaya Sir and the entire CMTI management for giving this opportunity for sharing my experiences in growing my company, and this will be like very helpful even for the new startups who are looking for starting their entrepreneurship journey. So before starting my company, like I had 10 years of experience in sales and services in different industries like defense, automotive, aerospace, textiles, paints, and others. While working with the OEMs and dealers, like I always like to notice like there was some issue related to the purchasing of the instrument, like basically related to import instrument. When there was a high import cost of the instrument, space availability, and timely service of the from the OEM side. So these are the various problems that the user used to face while going through this importation of instrumentation. So while starting my journey, I thought like this was a very good point to solve for the customer, and we're trying to do some kind of localization of the instrumentation, whichever I take care. So this is how my brief journey of 5 years started as an entrepreneur. So I just had to look for the product now. So my idea is like to localization of the product. So so now I have the idea like what has to be done. So the next thing is like the product which has to be chosen. So that is little very tricky because I don't have a team. I don't have a team of product design or manufacturing. So it's like what to be done. Like first thing is the finance part, and the next part is the experience and of handling so many people for design, product development, and manufacturing. So at this point of time, like I came across the organization like an NRDC, which was like basically like commercialization of technologies which they are doing for the entrepreneurs. So I thought this was like a very good opportunity for me in starting choosing my product, wherein the product is readily available with the NRDC, and it's only like so the big advantage is like it is already developed, approved by like premier institutes, R&D labs, and worked by different scientists. And my work is like reduced. Like I did not go for the product design development. I need only to take care of the manufacturing part and the testing part, and do the sales, which is what I used to do in my 10 years of experience as a sales team. So after going through an article, like I met Mr. Lakshman sir from NRDC, who is also a part of this webinar today, and he started like he guided me like for what about the about the procedures, about commercialization works, and how it basically works, and what is the handholding that we can expect from them, what is the support we can get from them. So this is how like so Mr. Lakshman is also one of the key people who I should say like who was a mentor, started my career as an entrepreneurship. So after which we took 2 products from NRDC for commercialization. One was like related to the agriculture, and that was like a good success which I've seen. And the next one more product is from recently which we are tied up with Cmti for glass case. So which we are exploring for the market now. And here like the advantage of going through NRDC or commercialization process is something like we already have the product. Only thing is like we have to do look at the product, manufacture the product, and do the marketing part of it. So which is like which saves a lot of time in terms of entrepreneurship. And the basic advantage is like once you have the product, you have the finance in your hand, you have the team with you, and after which you can easily upgrade your products. So that is the basic advantage. And also you can also look for new versions of the products or new products. So this is how like I feel like it was a good idea for me to get into this startup ecosystem or the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So being entrepreneur is always like it's so proud for so proud like when you deliver some product to the customer and the customer feels happy. Like it's actually a great feeling like when customer appreciates the product developed by us and the company as a brand. So from my experience, I would suggest to a newcomer like would be like before starting an entrepreneurship, just they have to get the plan right and proper guidance from the relevant people. So because I have seen my friends who started with me the company, but couldn't sustain due to the issues like product development and finance issues. At the end of the day, they have to go back to their regular jobs. So this is my story about tech solutions. Just a briefly, I would like to share with you, and I would like to see more technologies being taken from NRDC, CMTI, or and other R&D labs for going further into my entrepreneurship journey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experiences about the sales and service sectors and commercialization of products by entrepreneurs. Now we have Sri Sundar Shettigar, proprietor Nandi Agrovet, Bengaluru. Nandi Agrovet started with sericulture related industry and veterinary products. I request you to deliver the talk for today, sir.
I am Sundar from Nandi Agrovet, Bangalore. Sir, actually, after 18 years of my experience in veterinary and sericulture industry, I have started my industry Nandi Agrovet on 2005. I worked my services in sericulture, farmers community servicing and all. In 1995-96, sericulture farmers during their silkworm rearing, their productivity was very less, below average. And when I worked for one reputed company, and my company taken the license through NRDC technology of CSRTA Mysore, that when after using that new technology, sericulture farmers suddenly changes in their productivity they found, and they increasing the productivity up to 25%. Thereby their income started to increase. So this happened because of NRDC involvement in that time, because we are also new in that field, but they have cooperated through technology inventors. And 2005 onwards, I have started my own company, and I have taken the technology through NRDC. I have taken CSRTA, Beharampur technology, some three technology, CSRTA, Mysore 2 technology, IHR Hesarghatta 1, and other technology from KSSRDA, Talgatpura. We have observed in the sericulture industry that sericulture farmers total productivity and their income level increased because of this National Institute technology. Here NRDC taken big role because their coordination and support, investors are purchasing the technology license with the convenient procedures. Why institute technology is benefit to investors? Because as per my experience, institute technology is fact and figures with the research study they have done. So marketplace, Central Institute have got more strength because of result assured. As a marketing person in the market, we can speak authentically, and any additional information also Central Institute they will provide in time whenever problem occurs. In between license holder and technology inventor, NRDC will work like the bridge between us, and it makes us stronger in our administration aspect. So institute technology always give the investors more benefit, because only here we have to take care with the institute support and our administration capacity and purchasing efficiency of ours and correct judgment, we can market the product successfully and we can earn better, sir. This is my experience in marketing of this institute technology. In my almost 15 years of my own company, almost 80% of institute product only I have used, sir. So this is for any newcomers or any startup companies. First year itself, they can see the benefit out of this new institute technology products, sir. So thank you for the opportunity given to speak me, sir.
It was a privilege to know about your contributions to the farmer in the field of sericulture. Thank you very much, sir. And I apologize for the delay in the event today. We request Dr. Tyagi sir for his concluding remarks, if any, about today's business meet.
I must say an excellent event where not only we came to know about what CMTI is planning, but also in addition to that, we could know some very good initiatives which are being done by the government agencies and the industries. And also, it was great listening to the startup experiences. And on the whole, a very good event, very useful event. And compliments to CMTI for coordinating it. And as I told earlier, Naganumayaji, I look forward to listening to more and more initiatives of this kind. And CMTI, you have a great role ahead, a lot of responsibility. But I am sure the way you have been working under the leadership of Dr. Naganumaya, you will be able to achieve greater heights of contributions and growth in the times to come. And also, Nayak Saab, thank you very much for being with us today on the dais, and it was excellent listening to you. And look forward for more interactions. And I will also request Naganumayaji, if these copies of all the presentations, they could be sent along with the contact details of the speakers, because there are a lot of wisdom which has flown today, that today is a day of celebration of excellence and wisdom, and also a Baisakhi day. So good day, good initiatives, my compliments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, vote of thanks by Shri Arun Kumar JG, Ekam Chairman, CMTI.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. First and foremost, I thank our ministry, that is the Ministry of Heavy Industries, for initiating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav program. Special thanks to our chief guest, Dr. R.K. Tyagi sir, Honorable Mentor Director, Defense Innovators and Industry Association, GC member of and Chairman of CMT Business Advisory Group. I express my heartfelt thanks to our Director, CMT, Dr. Naga Hanumaya, spearheading the event for his valuable contribution. We are grateful for his words of encouragement. I also thank our Joint Director, Sri Mohan Raj BR, briefly depicting on CMT technologies which are ready for commercialization. My heartfelt thanks to our speakers, Sri Amitabh Srivatsava and Sri Shivshankar Naik, Joint Director, Department of Technical Education, Government of Karnataka. Thank you. Dr. Dibyendu Chaudhary, sir, and Sri N.G. Lakshminarayan, Chief of Business Development in NRDC. And I also extend my heartfelt thanks to our startup entrepreneurs, Sri Gokal Yane, Sri Vinay Krishna, and Sri Sundar Shettigar. for their valuable points. Last but not the least, I thank Center Head Shri Krishna Rotted and his active business development group, today's AKM program team members who relentlessly strived hard to showcase the CMTI technological strength through video mode and their support in making this occasion a resounding success. Finally, we thank all the attenders from industry associations who have been constantly supporting our technology development research initiatives. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Good, Naganumeya ji. Keep it up. Excellent event.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for guidance and support, sir.
Thank you, sir.